and welcome to the Tardis Zone live. Again, welcome. We have another special guest with us tonight. We've got Gary from Nerdrotic. How are you, Gary?
I am good, my friend. How are you? And thank you for having me. Long time. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so thanks.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Is everything? I'm just looking here now on my StreamYard, and it actually says nobody is watching. So I just want to make sure
People are watching.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've got it on the video. We got 30. We got 34 viewers. Well, we lost 4 viewers. What's up with that?
There we go. It's popped up. And Ballstrek is actually in the live chat as well. Welcome.
What's up, Ballstrek?
Oh, brilliant. Nerdaholics are here as well. Brilliant. Okay. Nice to have you again, as I said, Gary. Thanks for coming on. So just for people that don't know who you are, just tell them a little bit about yourself and obviously how you got into Doctor Who.
All right. Well, my name is Gary. I'm in San Francisco, California. You might have heard I used to own a comic shop, but I'm a lifelong nerd, a lifelong lover of science fiction, fantasy, and superheroes. I am a fanatic, and I have been my entire life. It's been an unhealthy obsession into pop culture. That's kind of what nerdrotic is. If anybody ever asks what it means, it's supposed to be more neurotic than erotic, but it could mean both. It can mean whatever the hell you want it. And I'll tell you the story of that name someday. But learned to read from a comic book. Started watching Doctor Who on and off when it was on PBS. And I liked it as much as I like Star Trek. When I was a kid, I was a bigger Star Wars fan. I was a giant Star Wars fan, but Star Trek and Doctor Who were my jam. And I like Doctor Who because I am a massive fan of Douglas Adams and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Those are my Bibles. I'm a massive fan of UK entertainment, UK comedy, Monty Python, Blackadder, just everything that PBS was like BBC for us when we were kids. And the PBS is basically our BBC. It's public broadcasting, and it is funded by tax and taxing and donations, but it's not required. Although some of our income tax does go towards it, and it's very much like the BBC now. But I am thankful for it because it introduced me to the 4th Doctor, the 5th Doctor, and then the 3rd Doctor. And I had to discover the other Doctors through VHS when I started working at record stores, and we'd get the VHSs in, and I'd watch those. And honestly, I didn't watch the first and second Doctors till much later because that stuff just wasn't available. I became an uber Doctor Who fan when the new series came along. And I heard Russell T Davies based it on Buffy. That was part of his inspiration. Buffy is one of my favorite all-time shows. I got into the show. I got so obsessed into it that I played it consistently in my comic store for 5 years straight. And that's not a joke. I had a video system in there, and I bought it so I can watch Doctor Who in the shop. And I would have Doctor Who on for the 8 hours my shop was open all day, and we just go through season after season after season, play classic Doctor Who, play new Doctor Who. I created a lot of Doctor Who fans in San Francisco, and we did watch parties. And the 50th anniversary was like the Super Bowl, which is a sports ball event here in America. I'm sure you guys have heard of it.
Yes, they show American football in the UK, but just to let you know, actually, American football is becoming a big thing in the UK.
Yeah, that's interesting because my former favorite team, I used to be very much into American football until the team left my hometown of San Diego. That's where I grew up. And it looks like that there's rumors that it might be going to London. The Chargers might be going to London. That was rumored about a little bit, but I digress. So that's where, so I've been a Doctor Who fan since 1978, but I would call it like, I'm not expert fan. I liked it as much as I like Star Trek. I was just watching it, read the comics, the Marvel comics that were available. I collected them, and I became uber fan where I wanted to get into the lore, learn absolutely everything about it over the last 12 years. And and have been that way ever since. The only thing that killed it was the day Jodie was announced. And
just coming. Well, it actually leads us on to our next little segment. Jodie Whittaker, obviously Series 12. They dropped the trailer last week, and then we got another one yesterday. Has your optimism changed since watching those trailers? Do you feel any better watching those trailers for the future Doctor Who, or do you think it's gonna be worse? Well, I think I kind of know what you're gonna. Well, I do know what you're gonna say, but
no, it's good to reset thing. A part of being on YouTube is stating the obvious. It's going to be much worse. They're going to do the doubling and tripling down. For a minute, I thought that they might turn it around due to the negativity surrounding the show, but they seem to have just blocked all that out and doubled and tripled down. They are going to do, it looks like, I mean, just Tenet is everywhere. And bringing back the Jadoon and then the rumors, but despite the rumors, I can guarantee you the one returning villain will be the evil white man.
Yes, we know who the evil white man is. Well, actually, talking about that, there was is at the very start of that second trailer, it obviously blinked and flashed on the screen so fast I didn't actually recognize it, but someone took a screenshot. There looks like there's a TARDIS console at the start of that clip, right? And it's not the Doctor's TARDIS. And it looks like Graham is actually sitting down in front of it. It's actually a weird looking. I don't know if you have actually seen it. I'll put it up on Twitter if you actually want to have a look at it briefly, Gary. But
is it in the first couple of minutes?
It's the very first frame of the actual trailer. You will actually have to freeze the trailer as soon as it pops on. Hold on.
So it looks like. Yeah,
it looks like the Master's TARDIS.
Yep.
To be quite honest with you, there it is. There. Okay, Gary, I'm gonna send this to you now. I'll send it through. Yeah, this is interesting. This got sent to me today. See, it happened so fast that I didn't even realize it. Right, I sent it to you on Twitter Messenger.
Gotcha.
Right.
There it is. And oh.
See it?
Uh-huh.
And I said that's definitely a center console of a TARDIS. Look at it. I've zoomed in. It's definitely
don't you get a vibe that this is like a raw TARDIS?
Yeah.
It definitely looks like like just when you get the TARDIS fresh out of the factory.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's definitely Graham. Graham is actually it looks like he's either fallen over and he's trying to get back up or something, but something has definitely happened. I've sent it to Ballstreck as well, actually, just in case he wants to have a look. So I just said I'd say that just in case. But that is interesting. I mean, what do you... all I can say is after watching the second trailer, right, I was already annoyed. Obviously, you were there. I was actually angry over the first trailer. And I was thinking to myself, this can't get any worse. And then they dropped the second trailer, and it's crisis. I mean, how many times did we have to hear there's going to be a crisis? Crisis. She says that 4 times or something. And then she tries to be funny and says kisses. And as I said to you off air, she can't do comedy. No. I don't know why these writers aren't writing to her strengths. It's ridiculous. What do you think?
I think her strengths, and we discussed it, I think her strengths are Jodie Whittaker. I've heard her in interviews, and she certainly sounds like a charming person when she's not bitching about the male gaze. But and I think that's how she got a lot of work. And believe me, a lot of people get work just on they're not great actors. They're just incredibly charismatic and charming in real life, but they have no range. I'm not saying she's charismatic because she hasn't shown that yet on the show. But I can see how she's charming and she gets jobs. But this shows that if you wanted to have a female doctor, you should have done a real audition instead of just being lazy and picking who you've worked with, and it being your second choice, by the way. And Olivia Colman would have been way more digestible as a female doctor. I've never been for it, and I've never made that a secret. And guess what? You're not a sexist if you don't want one single character on the planet to remain male. Just saying. And I think they are going to try to. I think the excuse will be that her first, and I've already heard this. I don't know if you have. That her first season, she was just getting used to it, and most actors are like that. And some of them, I think kind of bullshit, to be honest with you.
I think Matt Smith hit the ground running, sure.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi, okay, they didn't know what they wanted to do with his character in the first series, but second series they got him spot on. David Tennant literally hit the ground running. Christopher Eccleston hit the ground running as well, so I don't know where they're getting that from. And the older doctors, they all hit the ground well. Actually, no, they didn't. You're right. There is a few in the classic era that didn't hit the ground running, but most of them did.
Most of them did. Yeah. But I mean, it's a couple. I wouldn't say all would be a major over exaggeration. Because some of my favorite episodes are first Doctor episodes of them figuring themselves out. I love those episodes, man. God, Spearhead from Space is so genius in so many ways, and it displays everything that's great about Pertwee in like 10 minutes. That's genius. And the genius about Doctor Who and why I like it, I have Doctor Who tattoos on my body. Why I like it more than anything else was just the spirit of the show, the way that I loved watching it with my kids. This is the kind of hero I want my kid to identify with. If it's going to be a fictional one that tries to talk them their way out of problems, one that tries to be smarter. The show was equal parts funny, scary, and the writing and the performances are so superior to any other science fiction. And all you have to do is look at their production values. I mean, you poor guys down out there had like $1,000. I'm just kidding, but it looked like $1,000 an episode, and you still made something great.
Yeah,
and that charm matters. Charm matters. So now they have they have a bigger budget. But somehow they can't produce a series every year.
Which is unusual because everybody else could, and all of a sudden now it's become this. But it's very difficult. It's very tiring, and we also seen those articles as well. All of a sudden popping up that Matt Smith found it all too much, and David Tennant also found it all too much, but they never said that at the time. All of a sudden these articles coming out. It was in defense, trying to defend Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker as usual. If you cannot produce a series of Doctor Who every year, you shouldn't be showrunner, in my opinion. And Chris Chibnall, we get on to Chris Chibnall because we could focus on Jodie Whittaker. We know what her flaws are as the Doctor. But let's focus on Chris Chibnall for a while, because Chris Chibnall for me is the biggest problem with this era. He is also the guy responsible for hiring these writers. And if I'm also correct, wasn't there an article yesterday where they're in this they have this deal with this drama academy or something, or writers academy, that one writer from that academy or something gets the right for Doctor Who. So more inexperience again. Look, I've no problem with inexperienced writers, Gary. Some of them can produce genius, right? But you need that. It's vital that you have that experience in there, though, isn't it?
Yes. Science fiction is the hardest thing to write. Science fiction and fantasy. You are building a world from scratch, and you can't. You can base it on history. You can base it in allegory, but science fiction is often used with allegory, and you have to be very intelligent and very experienced to do that. And that's, I have a theory. that the reason they're bringing in soap opera writers, and this is exactly what they're doing with Star Trek too. I mean, these are two sides of the same coin. These shows is because an inexperienced writer won't bite back as much. They won't question the amount of agenda that needs to put in prior to even writing a script. I mean, I was joking, but during my reviews, it seems so long ago, but it was a year ago during when Doctor Series 11 was out. I said, it just feels like they have to hit a checklist before they even start writing a script. And then, of course, the diversity initiative started popping up, and I had no idea what it was at the time. And so they have this checklist. So an experienced science fiction writer is going to go, wait a minute.
Are you still there?
She needs flaws. Well, she could have a flaw. Have her trust a man. That'll be her flaw. Okay.
I don't. Again, this man, and I mean, he came out, what was it, a few weeks ago, and he said that he doesn't listen to the criticism of his series, the arrogance. Again, there just seems to be this arrogance with this production team, and anybody that's in close proximity to them also have this kind of attitude and chip on their shoulder. I mean, look, is it bad to ask for decent sci-fi? Nobody here, even in this live chat, has a problem with equality and inclusion. But if you sacrifice good writing and you just want to push that agenda, well, then the show is gonna suffer. I mean, it's not. This is what I can't understand, why these people have a hard time understanding that all we want is decent sci-fi. We don't care about the rest of it. If it happens, it happens, but you have to do it within the narrative of the show. True?
Absolutely true. And you know, I can't see anybody being a Doctor Who fan being against any of this stuff. And you know, some of the abuse that you've taken, Bowles Trek has taken, I've taken, others have taken, it's unfounded, and it just shows they don't have an argument, because again, it's okay to call this stuff out. And it wasn't, I'll even defend Jodie here. I'm defending Jodie. It wasn't fair to her to put her show, her first show, just fill it with agenda. She was she had the hurdle anyway. And this was a move that the BBC did as a gimmick, as a last ditch attempt to boost ratings and to get some publicity, because the show had fallen so hard because of agenda. But they didn't change that. If they would have just did a regular, like a Russell T Davies like series where there's, some cheeky humor and just fun, thrilling episodes. Chris Chibnall doing his best job, which I'm with you, man. I don't think he can. I just don't think he's up for the job.
He needs someone over his shoulder. I mean, he produced his best work on Torchwood, but he had Russell T overlooking scripts. He's not a natural showrunner. He actually needs to take direction, because when he does take charge, we have heard stories of how controlling he is. Now, if the rumor is true, well, it's not even a rumor, because I think Jodie Whittaker actually confirmed it. But imagine telling the new person that's taken over the role, I don't want you to watch the show. I don't want you to learn off the show. Basically, all the source material for Jodie Whittaker was there, and Chris Chibnall tells her not to watch. And then when she finally watches, she admits to David Tennant that she was actually scared. Mm-hmm. Now, I will defend Jodie Whittaker here as well. And I will say Chris Chibnall is responsible for the fact that we didn't get a true representation of what Jodie Whittaker can actually do, because he's basically hindered her at every turn with the writing and basically the direction. And if you tell someone to play the scene, well, then they're obviously going to play this. I'll play the page. They're obviously going to play the page. They're not going to put everything into it. You're right. We haven't seen any personality from Jodie Whittaker in Doctor Who, but we have outside Doctor Who. And that's what annoys me. In that Children in Need stuff, we seen Jodie's personality. We even seen her have a geeky girl moment when she met the two lads from Coldplay when she was doing Yellow. That was a nice little moment as well. Do you know what I mean? So she has shown personality, and he's basically sucked it out of her. And the result that we've got in the Series 11, all the agenda, as you said as well, hasn't helped. I mean, he is definitely responsible for all of this, to be honest with you. Jodie Whittaker, yes, she has said things that she probably shouldn't have said, and she should have been advised by someone with a bit of smarts in the BBC, but obviously nobody has brains in the BBC, because if they did, they would have told her to shut up a long time ago, and maybe there wouldn't be this hatred towards the woman, because there clearly is hatred towards the woman. But for me, the focus should be on Chris Chibnall.
Agreed. And Chris Chibnall could have done the work required to win over the fandom, which they don't want to do. They clearly there's a sect of the fandom they don't want anymore, and they've made no secret of that. And if they really were behind this show 1000%, they would have, on this year off where they had plenty of time to come to Comic-Con, which you brought up, and New York Comic-Con, and done webisodes, done something and get Jodie out there and do what I saw Capaldi doing at San Diego Comic-Con, which was walking outside the there's a big line to get into Hall H. He comes out in Doctor Who costume and starts shaking hands and stuff, and that was brilliant. So that would have been something she could have done. That would have won a lot of people over, but they just disappeared. They ghosted everybody for a year, and it looks to me like this is just a TV show now. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Doctor Who was more than a TV show, but now it's just a TV show.
That's it. Yeah, it is. It's sadly just become another generic TV show. Sure, there's not, even if you break down Series 11, I mean, there wasn't even actually much sci-fi in it at all. Actually, if you look at it, it was pretty weak on sci-fi. And then you take away the agenda, and you're left with the bare bones. There was actually nothing decent. I thought. I mean, everybody has said Kerblam is kind of one of those that felt the closest to Doctor Who, but even that at the end is ruined. I mean, if that had ended differently, we'd probably be all sitting here saying that was the best episode of that series. But we all know we all know what the J-Bot's favorite episode is, Rosa. And yeah, what did you think of Rosa actually?
I thought Rosa was it was terrible. It was terrible. It was exploitation of a very dark time in the U.S. past, and it's something that's taught in schools. It's something we know about. My son's elementary school was called Rosa Parks Elementary. I mean, we are acutely aware of it, and the way it was represented was cartoonish. Simple as that. And the Watchmen did the same thing. Actually, it was worse. But it just took a dark time in our historic past, and it was used as a giant virtue signal to win awards. So Chris Chibnall can go to his little cocktail parties and talk and just cavort with the elites at the BBC, and cavort with each other and tell each other how awesome they are. And it turns out that Rosa, it won a couple of awards, and one of them they had to make up.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was at the BAFTAs. It was a Virgin Media Award.
Yeah.
I think it was for the
Visionary.
Visionary. That's what it was. It was for the must-see. There was a must-see moment or something. It was a Mickey Mouse thing. It wasn't even. And that's the thing. This Series 11 actually hasn't won any awards of note, to be quite honest. They won a Golden Tomato as well. It actually won an award in Ballstreck's country of Canada. What was that award called again, Ballstreck? You're still in the comments there. Could you tell us that was yeah? He actually apologized for his country. He did. That was funny.
Yeah, abomination was a word I wanted. The
Uh,
word I wanted to use. Boltstrick. Yeah,
yeah.
but, freaking Canada, man.
Oh, Jesus. I tell you, it was an abomination. But here we had a worse one. We had the worst one in Series 11, Arachnids in the UK.
Yes.
Now, I have to say something here, right? When I seen the title for this, when we actually found out the episodes, this was one that I was actually really excited for. And if I'm correct in saying, I think a lot of fans were very excited for this one because I thought it was going to be like a Planet of the Spiders thing. I thought it was going to be a throwback to that maybe. And then, of course, we watched it and we saw what unfolded. Everybody knows how I feel about it. Arachnids in the UK. Go ahead.
Okay, so this episode came right after Rosa, and I was reviewing these live, and actually this is what stimulated my channel. I was watching them live, and I gave the first couple episodes. I wasn't in love with them, but I'm like, okay. It's because I thought they would just be filled with agenda from the get-go. So I'm like, all right, first 2 episodes aren't spectacular, but I can't really say they're terrible. But the 4th episode was where I'm just like, I think I said the gloves are off. This is awful. This is we had a Trump stand-in. We had an American, because all of us in America, we carry guns and we shoot them at things we don't like all the time. I mean, duh. And the worst part about it though was the constant apologizing for the spiders. I'm like, what the hell did they do? They're like, the spiders don't usually act like this when there's big. They repeated it twice, like within 5 minutes, like they had to appease PETA or something. But then Mr. Big being the Trump stand-in, and they could not fit more agenda in one episode if they tried. So they had a Trump stand-in building a hotel, firing a woman of color while building this hotel on a giant landfill that was an environmental disaster. So they were just missing Greta, but she wasn't around at the time, but she might guest star in season 12. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, Jay, she might get star in that bloody plastic episode. They've probably kept it under wraps.
Yep, that's right. That's right. How dare you? How dare you?
I know. It's actually ridiculous. I'm not going to get into that again, but all I will say is this. I don't know how her parents haven't been locked up for child abuse because she's being exploited. It's clear to see, and it's just sickening. But this is the way society has gone. People actually think it's okay for a 16-year-old child to travel the world around in a boat and dictate to adults. That's the new society that we live in.
It is. It is. And yeah, that's well, her parents are two. One's an actor, so or a television show presenter or something. Yeah, it's not a surprise at all. Elites, more elites telling us what to do. And we had Mark Ruffalo out there telling us what to do yesterday. So
Jesus. Here, Spyfall. The first episode drops New Year's Day, and it's called Spyfall. So it's a play on Skyfall, the James Bond movie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have an MI5 type. Apparently, it's going to be a 2-parter, and that's going to kick off the series. Spyfall. Even the name is ridiculous.
Is it the second episode like a few days later, or is it a full week later?
Yeah, it's a few days later. So it drops midweek, the series. So it drops on a Wednesday, and then the next episode apparently is on Sunday.
Oh, so they're airing it on Sunday now.
Yeah,
I thought they were.
It's
staying on Sunday.
It looks like it's staying on Sunday, yeah, and it looks like, but it might be going up against Dancing on Ice on ITV. Now, if that's the case, it's going to be smashed. It's going to be smashed. There's not, because UK TV I know very well. Dancing on Ice is very popular in the UK. So if they're going up against Dancing on
the UK.
Ice, seriously, if they're going up against Dancing on Ice, if that's true what I've heard, then they're going to be smashed in the rains.
Yeah,
I
we,
don't.
we we have a show over here. You probably have it over there. It was probably there first. We have a show where people like dress up in costumes and sing, and they look, they're like big furry costumes and stuff, and you have to guess who the singer is, and people love that crap. I don't understand
Yeah,
it, but if you like it, God bless you. But
yeah.
yeah, it would get smashed by a show. Oh, we got 85 viewers. What's up? How's it going, everybody? Yeah, it will get crushed. That is, I'm sorry. You know what, dude? I've been slipping. I've been distracted by Star Wars, and honestly, I've kind of slipped on the Doctor Who stuff a little bit over the last couple months. But I'm glad I'm getting prepped and ready to go. So I'm a little surprised they brought it back to Sunday, but I guess they're going to need it because that's a better day to air in the UK, and it's a better day here too. If it's a horrible day here to air,
Yeah.
it's the
So
worst day.
we also found out who actually got the Christmas spot this year. So for any of our American viewers, a guy called Michael McIntyre. He is a stand-up comedian, but he also hosts a show. I don't know if it's his stand-up that's on the Christmas Day or if it's his TV show. He presents a light entertainment show. So that's the show that has gotten the would have got Doctor Who would have been on that time slot. So Michael McIntyre, they've replaced Doctor Who with a comedian.
It's a joke. It's a joke. And
Oh,
they could have been on Christmas this year, folks. I'm sure you've already talked about that. They
yeah,
passed up on it.
yeah.
And they would get the ratings would be, I'm just guessing, 25-30% better if they were on Christmas Day over New Year's Day. I don't think it's any different in the UK than it is here in the States. People drink over there too. And it's not really family time, but Christmas to pass up Christmas Day deliberately. I'm sticking by they do. Just my theory is they did it because it's for political correct reasons, because it's a religious holiday and you can do the rest.
Yeah, but that's bull. I mean, the Doctor Who and Christmas, as you know, especially when it came back in 2005, has been a staple thing. Everybody connects the two now. It's actually ridiculous what Chibnall's done. He's gave up the Christmas spot. I mean, Moffat even came back to do Twice Upon a Time, that abomination, just to keep the Christmas Day spot. Chris Chibnall's era was supposed to kick off on a Christmas special.
Yep.
And of course, as we know, he refused to do it. So Moffat and Peter Capaldi, which had already left, had come back to do Twice Upon a Time. So, when Peter Capaldi gets all this stick, I will defend him because at the end of the day, he was already gone and he loved the show so much, he came back to do that special. And you know what? He still gets criticism to this day. Yes, the writing was bad, but he was probably, I say this, to me, he's definitely the best New Who Doctor. If not, he's probably up there as one of the best. He's up there with Tom Baker anyway, in my opinion. The writing just let him down. That was it. But he had some gems in Heaven Sent. I mean, how that episode didn't win any awards is beyond my comprehension, because that was just an absolutely perfect. Well, had a few flaws, but it was nearly there.
It was epic. And that is something Moffat had a hard time doing. But Capaldi his acting was spot on. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I would put him in my top 5 for sure, but he just didn't have enough good episodes for me. But he's grown on me. I love him as a person, and he has one of the most rare 1/6 scale action figures. I know that. I mean, aside from the Fourth Doctor. There was one that was a special for a con or something that goes for thousands of dollars.
Wow.
So it's actually one I don't have because it goes for thousands of dollars. But no, I love Capaldi. I did. My favorite episode, Heaven Sent's up there, but my favorite episode, and sorry if this is repeated information, but it's The Mummy on the Orient Express. I freaking love that episode.
Oh, that is a good episode. That actually is. Frank Skinner is in that episode. He's another comedian as well. Doctor Who, actually, especially New Who era has a knack of getting some great comedians on the show. Lenny Henry now obviously is another addition. He's in a he's another comedian, but he hasn't done anything now in years. But um, yeah, I love that Mummy on the Orient Express. The only thing that ruins it for me is obviously Clara. Kind of got sick and tired of Clara at that stage. I don't know about you, but I do not like Clara's character at
Not
all.
a fan. Nope. I liked her in 2 episodes, and that was not the real Clara.
Yeah, the Victorian Clara.
Yeah, Snowman, and one of my all-time favorite episodes, Asylum of the Daleks. So
yeah, that's I don't know what he was doing there, but Moffat again. See, Moffat is one of those, right? He gets a lot of criticism, but while looking back, we're looking at what Chris Chibnall's produced now. Actually, can I ask you a question? I hear this a lot. Right, a lot of people, obviously, not Chris Chibnall, Peter Capaldi's era, as we know, is flawed, right? Mm-hmm. Now, it's gotten a lot of harsh criticism, as you know. But do you think, right, because I was thinking about this myself, do you think people will go back years later and maybe reevaluate Peter Capaldi's era and obviously Stephen Moffat? And do you think it'll come out any better? Or do you think people will look at it the way they look at it now?
I think people will be kinder as time goes on, especially when they have Chibnall's era to compare it to. I think there might be a little element of we were spoiled by the previous 2 seasons, but I mean, God, season 10 was just filled with agenda, though. And I didn't even notice it at the time because it wasn't annoying me. But when I look back on it, I can't rewatch that stuff. And there's a lot of, a lot of just throwaway episodes. And I think Moffat's biggest flaw was he listened to his critics too much, and a writer can't do that. You got to block them all out especially when they're just on Twitter. I think he lost confidence. That's all Bolstrek has pointed out. So have you. And I remember talking about it at the time when it happened, when people started accusing him of being sexist, man, that bothered him. That bothered him. And he changed fundamentally as a writer, and it wasn't the same. It just wasn't. Cause I'll stand by. Season 5 is great.
It is. I agree.
Doctor Who.
I agree.
And season 6 kind of went off the rails at the end, but it had some absolute gems. So, a
Drop of Truth actually says, I like the final speech. Where is it? I like the final speech in the Zygon 2-parter about Clara, a real mystery box. Take note, J.J. Abrams. Yeah, I agree. That speech is actually brilliant. But I prefer the speech that he gives to the Master and Missy. That's my favorite speech, actually, where he basically asks them for help. Where I stand is where I fall. I love that speech. That's my favorite speech. What's yours, actually, Gary? Have you got a favorite speech of the Doctors? I did like Matt Smith's one, actually, as well, in the 11th hour, where he says, I'm the Doctor, yeah.
That is my favorite speech, next to the one in Silence in the Library where he's like, "Look me up." That's just badass.
Yeah,
I freaking love that one. And then the look that Tennant has right after he says, "Look me up," and his little eyebrow goes up. I'm yes. That is greatness.
Let me see. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Agree with Noel. That's a wonderful speech. Yeah. And the Master's response to the speech is even better. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Where he says everything. What was it? He says everything that you've just said right now means absolutely nothing or something. And then he walks off, doesn't he? Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah. That John Sim version of the Master, I actually love. That's the John Sims Master that we actually should have got, in my opinion.
That's what he wanted. Yep.
Yeah. brilliant. What? Yeah, you agree as well, don't you?
Yes, yes, and he had talked about how he wanted his master to be a little darker, toned down, not as mustache twirling and you know.
Yeah,
But I love John Sim so much.
yeah, he's a great actor. What's that other show he did years ago?
Life,
Actually, Life on
Life
Mars.
on
Yeah,
Mars, yeah.
yeah, which was actually Chris Chibnall, wasn't it?
I believe it was, and it was actually it's a very good show.
It's
I
actually
will say.
very good, but again, did he have someone that I'd love to actually check to see who the executive producer on that actually is.
I'm checking right now. This is back in 2006 and 7, and again, it was kids in the comic shop coming in and telling me like, you got to see this show, Life on Mars. It's great. So it's Matthew. Okay, so it's creators are Matthew Graham, Tony Jordan, Ashley Fora, and maybe he was just a writer on it. I thought his name was associated with this. I'm
So
pretty
did
damn.
I
I
thought,
could have been wrong. Maybe he wrote an episode or something like that.
or maybe he did this. Was it the next one that came after it? Didn't they do another one? Was it a prequel or a sequel? Was it a prequel to Life on Mars or something? There was another one that they did.
I forgot the name of it. Doomcock mentioned it
Yeah.
last night or night before last.
Oh, yeah.
Too much information, man.
I know. Good show though. So if he did have something to do with that, I'll give him that. But again, I will say it's probably because of the executive producers. He's just, I thought he exposed himself, in my opinion, with Series 11. We have seen Chris Chibnall's flaws; they're all there to see. I mean, people say he got lucky with Broadchurch, and I used to say no, I don't think so. But I actually agree now. I've been saying this a while now, though. I think he has. I think he did get lucky with Broadchurch. I think it was just, he got the right actors involved. He just happened to, some writers just write one good script and then the rest are crap for the rest of their career. That's what's probably happened with Chris Chibnall. He's wrote his perfect TV show, and now that's it. He's burnt out already. Ashes to ashes.
Ashes to ashes. Thank you. And David Tennant's speech at the end of the Christmas, the Titanic episode was freaking great too. It was.
Yeah,
You're right, Adam Child.
I actually love that episode. I know not a lot of people do, but I love the anything to do with the Titanic. So for me, that's a personal
That's my favorite Christmas episode. It is.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's up there. Actually, it's probably up there. Me top two. Me other one is, now let me get this right. We had David Tennant, that was the Christmas Invasion one. And then we didn't get another one until what was the next?
We got Christmas Invasion. It was Runaway Bride.
Oh no, I didn't like that one. Well, I did like that one. I mean, people are harsh on Catherine Tate on that one, but it wasn't the greatest special. Then it was Voyage of the Damned. It would have been Voyage of the Damned then, wouldn't it, after that one? Then after Voyage of the Damned, it's a Matt Smith special.
No, it was the Next Doctor. No, it was Voyage of the Damned, then the Next Doctor. And then the first Matt Smith one wasn't it? The singing. Why am I blanking on it? This is brain fart.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was the
Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol.
I like that story.
I did too. It's silly as hell, but I like it a lot, and I think it's got some great acting in it. The wardrobe one was kind of the weakest.
I didn't like that one. But I have to admit now, when that one first came out, the Christmas Carol one, I wasn't a huge fan at the time. That one has grown on me over the last couple of years, actually. I sat there and watched it one night on my own, and I actually really did enjoy it. And Matt Smith's performance in that is absolutely fantastic, actually. And then the scene when he realizes, when what's the young fella's name in it? When the little fella realizes that your woman's gonna die, and he gives the doctor basically a dressing down. It's all well and good for you. You can, there's always casualties with you or some mad crap like that.
Yep.
But you know what I'm talking about. It gives him a dressing down. The doctor feels bad, and he tries to make it up to him. He tells him to go away and stuff. Then he tries, doctor then in his guilt tries to make things right, as he always does.
Yep. That's so good.
I love that episode. Now, really
and
do.
And the end of time. Of course, we can't forget the end of time. So
here, did you like that one? Because you're a comic book fan. Now, for me,
Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah. Now, for me at the time, I still say this though. Okay, again, it's one of them that's kind of grown on me, but I'm going to say this. It doesn't belong in Doctor Who. I'm sorry, but I know Stephen Moffat was trying to pay homage to comic books and stuff, but for me, no.
Especially make it. I mean, like it was a try hard episode. I think my review's probably still up on it, where I'm like, I kind of like it, but like seriously, dude, making Superman a male, a nanny, staying home with the, and I was like, oh god, it's the try hard crap that it's just like, all right, and the thing is,
it was so cheesy.
It also shows you how long this crap's been going on. I mean, it's been building up, and if it's once in a while in a vacuum, it's no big deal. It's not, but now it's like all the time, and it just it's trope. It's tired. And it's also Moffat being extremely lazy. We know this is the guy who wrote freaking Silence in the Library and Blink. I mean, come on. That's classic television. I mean, not just Doctor Who, television. Like even people who casually like Doctor Who know Blink.
Yeah.
So he is capable of so much better. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about I'm very worried about Dracula. So
apparently the new Dracula, just to fill you in on something, apparently Dracula is going to be bisexual. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But why does Dracula have to be bisexual? Like, why can't you keep Dracula the way Dracula is supposed to be? Use the source material, and then if you want to add those characters into it that makes sense within the narrative of the actual story, no problem. Why did you know what I mean? Why did he have to mess around with every main character? We've seen it. We've seen it all over. We've seen it in nearly every franchise now, every TV show. There's no show safe anymore. I mean, Game of Thrones ended badly, as we've seen. Yep. I mean, excuse me, Stranger Things, that's obviously started to go woke. You obviously talked about Mr. Robot, and the end of it, you were very disappointed. You were, weren't you? Because you were actually enjoying that, and then go and tell people what they did.
Okay, so I don't want to. Well, I mean, it's a waste of time because it was really obvious. Mr. Robot had been a very cutting edge show, visually and narratively. It had done things other shows hadn't done. But it took a year off. And the last time it aired was 2017. And that's where the wokeness was really getting dialed up in Hollywood, and it fell victim. Now, it might have been part of the story from the beginning. If I was running the show, and I am not usually an idea guy, I would have steered clear of making it about a bad father. They had introduced all these great scientific or science fiction elements to it that they could have explored, and they just simply made it about a bad father. And I just dipped out right then. I'm like, I'm done. I'm so tired. You know what? I watched, there's a movie that came out recently called Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that.
Adore the hell out of this movie because, for one, Christian Bale is an international treasure as an actor. He's one of the greatest living actors we have right now, and we need to just love even when he's playing. I'm glad to see him back to playing Christian Bale type parts. And he played a race car driver and a good father. And I just was shocked at the end of a movie. I'm like, wait a minute. He didn't hit his kid once. He didn't drink. He was good to his wife. I'm like, they're setting us up for something, and they didn't. And that's, it's so common in Hollywood now to just make everything about a bad father. I'm done with it. Hollywood is, if you want to say it's at war with anything, it's, of course, it's the whole patriarchy crap that's going on, but just simply fatherhood.
Well, here's the thing. With all that happening, let's be honest, there's a few little gems getting through. As you've said, that movie. We also had, obviously, the Joker recently, which has actually made the critics very angry. The hate that movie got even before it came out was unbelievable. I mean, I even put some articles up on the Joker, and the way these people were talking, they'd already wrote this movie off. Now, because it's done so well, you could see some of them, as they do, they will always go where the wind is blowing, and a lot of these journalists have no credibility anymore. I mean, I have to admit, I haven't still seen the Joker yet. I have it there ready to go. Have you seen the Joker? And is it actually good? Or are people just hyping this movie up because they want to stick one to all the SJWs and all of these media?
The movie is that good. It really is. It's something to behold. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It went back to the old wheel and found out that the old wheel was perfect and decided to clean it off and use it again. And yeah, I think there was a major aspect to sticking it to the critics. It's the first film I've ever been to where I had to walk through a metal detector.
Wow.
Yeah, believe it or not, we don't walk through metal detectors all the time here. Maybe when we're going into government buildings, yes.
Yeah.
And when I went into New York Comic-Con this year, yes, and I understand that because it's New York City and they've been victimized by a horrific terrorist attack. But not here, not in San Francisco. We just don't, that doesn't happen here. So to be frisked before I go into a film was ridiculous, and it was created by the media, and it was fiction. Nobody was going to do anything. Nobody was ever going to do anything. And the only thing Joker would inspire any out of audiences is maybe it might inspire some filmmakers to want to go out and make film now, because it showed them that this is how you do it. It's back to basics. There's no God. I'm sure there was CG in it somewhere, but I can't remember. And it was just a performance, a brilliant performance by a brilliant actor and a director who is now like leveled up as a director. Todd Phillips is a genius in my opinion. So
Ballstrick says Joker is a masterpiece.
Yep.
But here's the thing, with the success that it's now had, there's talks of a sequel. Now, I don't know if that rumor is being put to bed by Todd Phillips himself. But maybe you could tell me, if is this rumor true about a second movie, and is there a point to a second movie, to be quite honest with you, because they've made such a great movie now? Is there a danger that they might actually, damage this Joker franchise if it's gonna turn into a franchise?
Yeah, I don't think it should be a franchise. I'll be honest with you. As much as I would love to see more of it, the greatness of the film is where it ended, and it leaves the rest to your imagination. And it doesn't go into a lot of details. There's a lot of ambiguousness with the film. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Especially if any of you are waiting to watch it, I wouldn't want to dream of spoiling for you. But it just is one film. It should be one film. What I think Warner Brothers can do is walk away from this thinking maybe we should challenge our filmmakers more by giving them less money, which was supposed to be the goal of Warner Brothers prior to hiring Jar Jar Abrams. They were going to try to make more superhero genre films on limited budgets, because that had been successful here in the States anyway with horror films. They were limiting the horror films on budget, and they were getting these genius horror films, or at least creative. They were forcing the filmmakers to work within limits And you get better films like that. Yeah. When you challenge the creator, when they have, Jar Jar Abrams is going to come in and they're just going to get, for one, all of his films are really expensive because if he was ever challenged to write something original, he couldn't do it. But unfortunately he's taking over at Warner Brothers. So I think it's a one and done. I think it's an anomaly, unfortunately, but it's a good anomaly. It's like Bolstrek said, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, Chris has actually answered your question there. He says CG was used to add in more period related cars and to add some background buildings to add depth.
And that's where it should be used, just
Yeah.
lightly to make up for matte paintings, and it looked good. It just looks so good.
Yeah. Bolstrek said it should be a once off, and he said, but we need more like Joker. Actually, could Warner Brothers look at this now and, as you said, hopefully they walk away from this, but then kind of look at other characters that they didn't want to go down this route originally, but seeing the success of Joker, and instead of actually tainting Joker any further, don't leave it as a one off, as you said. Look at some of these other characters and maybe introduce other characters, if you know.
Yeah, I think they could. DC is filled with characters they could do this with and be interesting, and they can get obscure if they wanted to. I would revisit Swamp Thing, and if they wanted to be low budget, there's a lot of horror characters. The Demon they could do, that would be interesting. Constantine, they keep. Matt Ryan played a perfect Constantine, and he had one prior to being on Legends of Tomorrow. He was on. There was a Constantine series on NBC, which is a major network here. That was pretty good. And it only got one season. I would love them to do that. Of course, they won't. There's a great comic book out there called Lex Luthor, and it was written by Brian Azzarello, and it's the world through Lex Luthor's eyes, and you get in his head, and you see how he sees Superman, and he sees Superman as a threat, as like this guy could become our god at any moment. And you sympathize. It's like a little bit like Sympathy for the Devil, but it's very, very good. And if they wanted to make a one-shot movie of that would be great if the right guy did it, or gal.
Actually, that actually does sound interesting. That's what I mean. If they made more of those type of movies, I think they would be successful. But again, you said JJ is on his way there.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, no!
So
it's game over. Warner Brothers.
It is.
It's game over. Anywhere he goes, it actually is true. Anywhere he goes, he just leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. How is he still being employed is what baffles me. Can you answer that? Because I don't know how he can go in, basically take a franchise like Star Trek and Star Wars, completely destroy the lore, and then move on to something else, and then completely destroy something else. Why? How has he got this much power?
You fail upward in Hollywood. It's a bottom line town, so they could care less about the artistic content of anything that is put out. They just look at, did it make money? Did it not? Well, Jar Jar makes money. He made the most the highest grossing Star Trek films. Now that's not adjusted for inflation, but he did. And he made The Force Awakens, which is the highest grossing film of all, or one of the highest grossing films, like third highest grossing film of all time, and highest grossing Star Wars film. So they just look at that, and that's how he gets the money. But like, I think people are starting to come around in Hollywood. They're usually the last to figure out anything. And he is loathed within the nerd community. There's some people who still like him, but if you're a Star Trek fan, you don't like this guy. You just don't like this guy. And I consider myself one of them. So
I have to say though, and I'm gonna admit this, but when when his first movie came out, I went to the cinema to see it, and I literally came back out after the movie had finished, went and bought another ticket, and went in. I did that twice, right? So I went in and seen the movie 3 times in a row. at the time, I loved that movie. Now, I still like the movie. I'm gonna put my hands up and say it. I still like the movie. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I think the first one, if you look at the other two, the first one is probably the best one out of the three.
Oh yeah, the Star
Um,
Trek one, Star Trek
yeah,
2009.
yeah,
I think it's his best movie because it had an amazing cast, and if they just released that by itself, I
yeah,
still like it.
yeah.
But it's what it did to Star Trek afterwards. I
I
think
know, I
uh,
know.
Into
Yeah, that,
Darkness was oof.
oh, well, come here. Benedict Cumberbatch, right? Well, obviously, Doctor Who fans will be familiar, like yourself. So, another Stephen Moffat show that was on when he was doing Doctor Who was obviously Sherlock. Now, he was brilliant in Sherlock,
Yep.
Cumberbatch, but they shouldn't have remade The Wrath of Khan. What the hell? Oh my god! Even that scene, even that scene with Spock and Kirk when Kirk is died, when they've reversed the scene basically. So it was Spock dying in the original, but Kirk is going to die in this one. I just the scene it just hadn't got any. Like the old one, there was no emotional attachment whatsoever with that particular scene. The whole movie itself, actually, I thought the premise was actually stupid. To be honest with you, that whole scene where the starship is coming out of the skies, and he has this thing. I don't know what it is with JJ, but he has this fascination with starships coming out of water. And we
Yeah.
now he's done it. Now he's done it to poor Star Wars. Star Wars is going to have star destroyers. Oh, and space horses.
Space horses.
Yeah,
Yay. I can't
yeah,
wait and they're real horses, everyone.
yeah.
Yeah, I got some real horses.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great. And
yeah.
that's going to be the finale, by the way. That's
That's
part of
the
the
finale.
finale.
Oh,
Oh,
so he gave us a bit of the finale in the trailer.
so
Great.
that's going to be the equivalent of I think he's trying because believe it or not, folks, I know this is I know I'm breaking news here, but Jar Jar Abrams is not original, and the Rise of Skywalker is going to be Return of the Jedi beat for beat, and instead of Ewoks, we're going to get space horses on Star Destroyers.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Do you know what? I've said this, people know this, right? I was more of a Trekkie than a Star Wars fan. As I've said, I like me sci-fi. I like to think a bit when I'm watching sci-fi, whereas obviously Star Wars is sci-fi fantasy, right?
Yep.
But as I said, as not a die-hard Star Wars fan, but someone that has watched the original trilogy and the prequels and these new movies, I can honestly say I don't know where they got from the very first one to here. I'm still confused. I'm confused. I like what they done to Luke Skywalker. I still can't. I can't. I can't comprehend it in my brain. I just don't know what they were thinking. And you've done video, obviously yourself, Doomcock, and others have covered this extensively. Do you guys actually know what they tried to do with Disney Star Wars and with these characters? Was it simply just to destroy them?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. Doomcock, both I and Doomcock, we got fed information because we actually do get information from people. Doomcock has like way more sources than I do, which is fine. And which is like, yeah. But we were fed information from a source that said essentially he's the one who told us that George Lucas might be getting, again, this is rumor, I can't verify any of this,
Okay.
that George was getting residuals, but he also fed the information that JJ and Rianne were tasked by Kathleen Kennedy to destroy these characters to I'm sure the wording wasn't I need you to destroy these characters, but it was, and the one plan they didn't have a narrative plan per se, like we have a story, But what they wanted to do, they had a financial one, which was, we're going to spread the original characters over 3 films. We're not going to have them together because we don't think we can create a character that, and it happened, like Rey, didn't connect with anybody. So we're going to have Han. The first one will be Han, and then we'll kill him off. Second one will be Luke, and we'll kill him off. And then we'll have Leia at the end being the last one standing. I don't think they intended on killing her. Fortunately, Carrie Fisher did die. Yeah. But their intention was to kill Han and Luke, and it was to present them sorry, I'm getting phone calls. My apologies. And their intention was to degrade these characters. That was their whole intention, and that's what they did. They had Han be a divorcee who left his wife and son, went back to drinking, and Luke turned into a coward and a hermit, and gave up on the Force, and gave up on his friends, and gave up on his family. That was deliberate. That was deliberately done to fight the patriarchy for agenda, because it's Time's Up Hollywood. And if you just go look at what the whole mantra for Time's Up is, again, it was started on something that was genuine. Okay. That was something that was real. Women were wronged and are wronged in Hollywood, have been for a century. Fatty Arbuckle, go look that up. That is some nasty stuff. Women have been through crap in Hollywood, and it's a lot worse in Hollywood than it is in your normal everyday work. Unfortunately, Hollywood thinks it's like that everywhere, and it's not. It's only in Hollywood where people are really, really foul to each other. And what they're trying to do is monetize this and make up for it and overcorrect. And it's destroying narratives, because you are tasking writers now. What we talked about with the BBC diversity initiative is you're tasking writers to limit themselves creatively, because they can't write people naturally. You have to, if you're going to write a woman, there has to be a scene where 2 women are talking to each other where they're not talking about a man. They can't be necessarily in a relationship. Try to depict them in charge as much as humanly possible. And if you have to depict a man in charge, make sure you give him plenty of flaws, or make him scared or weak or something. And that supposedly is making up for something. What it's really doing is annoying audiences, and it's limiting your creativity. A creative should be free to write whatever they want. Now, violence against women is something that you're not going to see anymore. And listen, violence happens to women, especially in a fictional tale. No real people have been hurt in this story, but we can't show it because now they're limiting their art, because they're so worried on it's Hollywood censoring themselves. Remember, we have been fighting against the whole video games are corrupting our children, rock music is corrupting our children. Now Hollywood actually thinks that they are corrupting our children, and they want to be political platforms to try to shape our children's minds. But we can have plenty of violence towards men. We can slaughter them. We could kill a 12-year-old boy in the first 2 minutes of a Terminator film. Hey, that's fine, as long as you do it for everybody. And that's all we want true equality. The thing is, it's not happening right now.
No.
And yeah, it's a long way from it. And all we're getting is just a very weird form of ism, we'll say. And they're convinced they're not. They're convinced that they're the good guys and they're right. That's the scary part about it.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous what has happened to Disney Star Wars. I mean, we don't even say Star Wars anymore. We say Disney Star Wars, because we need to make that distinction, because it's that bad. I mean, look, as I said, I'm not a hardcore fan of Star Wars, but even I can see where this was going. And with the rumors that are going around with the rise of Skywalker, I mean, we've heard a lot of really bad rumors, if they're true. Here's the thing that puzzles me, right? When we're watching the trailer, right? I remember, obviously, in the original movie, the Death Star was absolutely obliterated, but yet in this new movie that's coming up, basically survived. Some of the structure survived. I mean, and even the Emperor coming back.
The Emperor survived. The throne room survived. Honestly, I'm wondering how the rebellion won at this point. It looks like it just got a little battle damage, and yeah, that's what's happening to. I mean, it technically hasn't happened to Doctor Who yet. They haven't trampled on its canon, but that's coming. In what form, I do not know. But we're seeing it already in Star Trek, in Star Wars, and that is the main issue I have personally with it. I don't like the agenda, and because of the agenda. And that's the only reason they trample on canon. There is no other reason you need to trample or even go to the past, or the only reason you need to disrupt it is for your agenda. Like, for example, I don't have a problem with a woman not wanting to be led around by her hand. I don't care. I mean, I understand it, but by Rey complaining about it when Finn does it, that means it's bad in when Luke does it. That means that movie is flawed. That means you're disrespecting what you purchased, Disney. I don't understand it. Again, I don't need a woman being led around by her hand by a man. Just simply don't shoot it. It hurts your character because you're just getting to know her, and it kind of makes her look like a you know what. But what they're the fact that Palpatine is back, the fact that the Death Star wasn't fully destroyed, destroys the past just to make one last ditch effort to get a few more bucks out of Rey, a character that people are going to completely forget about in a couple 3 years. And time will not be kind to these films. More people will come around to, they sucked. Doomcock calls it hypnosis. And Star Wars fans suffer from it the worst. And because listen, let's be real honest. There's very little good Star Wars out there. There's stuff you like, but objectively, there's the good Star Wars is greatly outweighed by the bad Star Wars.
Actually, Ballstreck made an interesting comment a few comments back. He said A Clockwork Orange wouldn't be made today. I agree, that movie would not be made today. Actually, someone actually said that Stanley Kubrick would be banned. Yeah, of course he'd be banned. he'd be sent to some island somewhere where all the toxic white males go. Yeah, I like that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange. It's a real life.
No,
someone says
the fact that there's films you cannot make today that are not like Birth of a Nation. Okay, like Birth of a Nation, you couldn't make today and shouldn't make today. I completely understand that. There's limits to everything, even freedom of creativity. But Clockwork Orange, The Shining. They probably could make The Shining. It's about a bad dad. Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
Nope, you couldn't make that today. And that's not that old of a movie.
No, it's not.
There's Blazing Saddles. You couldn't make that. You couldn't make Airplane today. You couldn't make any Cheech and Chong movie today.
No.
Yeah.
Harold and Kumar, you couldn't make those movies today either. I used to love those movies. Actually, just two of those movies. I'm a real geek, man. Seriously. I love those movies. They're stoner movies, but we'll say no more about that one. Let's see. We'll read out some of the comments, will we, Gary? Sure. I refuse to call Return of the Jedi Episode 6. It's Return of the Jedi End of.
Yes. Yeah. It ends the story. Even though George Lucas had always talked about 9 episodes, that goes way back, but they're not from George. So, it's funny is I remember a time where people just thought the prequels would never happen. There's a lot of us were convinced George was done, and he was even talking about that. He never thought the technology would catch up to do what he wanted to do, but it did, and the prequels happened, unfortunately. So I like him more than I like Disney Star Wars.
Well, I'm being honest. The problem that I had with the prequels was they were just relied too heavily on CGI, and obviously, the stories weren't great, and actually, Attack of the Clones, which I can tolerate, is about an hour too long as well. That was the problem with that movie.
Yep.
I just thought that movie was way too long. Um, Prequels compared to Disney Star Wars, yeah, I definitely agree.
The
There's
prequels were made at the same time as the Lord of the Rings trilogy was being made. Weta famously went and visited Lucasfilm and ripped off a bunch of their technology and did it better on less money. They didn't have the budget that George had, and they made something much better.
yeah.
But still, the prequels are Shakespeare compared to Disney Star Wars. I don't know if you've seen The Mandalorian. I know you don't have Disney Plus yet. That is the closest thing to Star Wars I've seen produced by Disney Star Wars. It's mostly a pretty good show. I think it's too late for me anyway, as far as making me a fan of that again. And honestly, as time has gone on, I have become a bigger Star Trek and Doctor Who fan than a Star Wars fan. And I've talked about in my videos, my relationship with Star Wars is over. Like I'm not going to buy stuff, and I'm not going to support. It's being a lifelong comic fan. I can't say I'm off Marvel completely. I'm sorry, but I'm a nerd first. But I don't know. I haven't seen the Black Widow trailer yet, but I still think Marvel is okay despite Captain Marvel. But as far as Star Wars is concerned, I'm done. Yeah, I'm just
I'll give you one
chronicling its
thing
demise.
though. The fact that you're actually sitting down watching The Mandalorian and you're actually coming out and saying positive things. Now I know you said going into it you had lowered your expectations, and I totally understand that because obviously you've seen the shit that you've had to watch. So Disney have let you down big time. But what for us viewers, without kind of spoiling it, eventually I hope we do get Disney. Well, I'm not even going to buy a subscription. I'll find a way of watching it. There'll be a way.
There's
But
other ways.
is it worth watching? Honestly,
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be entertained, I can say through 4 episodes, I can recommend it. It's not groundbreaking. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Don't worry. It's not groundbreaking storytelling. It's very paint by numbers and predictable, but visually, it's pretty stunning for a TV show. And the main character is interesting enough. And Pedro Pascal, who was Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones, the Red Viper, is in the costume, and he does a very good job. There's some voice acting in it that's very good. Gina Carano was in an episode. She was good, even though it was a mediocre episode. And of course, there's the big secret out there that I won't even say, but it's good so far. We're 4 episodes in, and it's short. The episodes are short. They're 30 to 40 minutes long.
well, everybody already kind of knows something here. So Ballstreck says, "Baby Yoda."
Oh, did I disconnect?
Is killing me with cuteness. No, you're still here.
Hang on a second. I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I've been having StreamYard problems. This is
Same
me.
here. No, it's not. It's StreamYard has actually been sending out emails. They said that there's been technical issues while people have been live broadcasting, but they sent me an email yesterday to say the issue was resolved, but it is StreamYard themselves, so I don't think it is you, Gary.
Gotcha. I think they're finding out how hard it is to actually do this streaming thing. It's not easy, or more people would do it.
Yeah, I have to say that this app is handy.
Yes, it is.
One of the easiest one. Baby Yoda is killing me with cuteness as well. Ballstreck just wrote that. I love Baby Yoda. I haven't even seen the show, but babe, is it true though? I don't know. I shouldn't say that because nobody's seen the show yet. But the gender of Baby Yoda has been.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Blinked out again. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. That it sucks. I do not know why Disney Plus did not premiere in Europe in the UK at the same time as America. That is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they did that. I think there has to be some rights thing going on or some issue with the EU, because it's just dumb.
It actually is, because if it's, I mean, to your credit, you have actually came out and gave credit where credit is due on this show, and it's nice to hear, because obviously everybody isn't happy with the movies, so it is kind of nice that. But you actually said this. I think this show wouldn't exist if it hadn't have been for all the backlash, though, with the movies. That'd be true to say, wouldn't it?
That's a fact. That is a fact. And I've got it's funny you bring that up. I got confirmation of that today from somebody who works inside Lucasfilm. This was an unsolicited thing that came from one of my customers from the Comic Outpost, and I had brought up previously that I know people at Lucasfilm, but I haven't reached out to him because I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. One of them I do talk to once in a while, and I would never ask this person anything because I don't want to get them in trouble. I've known them for a long time. But I would feel weird reaching out to these people if I haven't talked to them in 2 years going, hey, you want to give me some inside information from my YouTube channel? That'd be douchey as hell. But I got 2 unsolicited messages today, and I messaged it to Doomcock, and I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just it just came out of nowhere, popped into my Facebook Messenger. It's like, you guys are really pissing Lucasfilm off. And I'm like, yes. And
Brilliant.
And he did confirm what I said in one of my, so he's watching the videos, obviously. And he did confirm my comment of this wouldn't have happened without the Fandom Menace. And the Fandom Menace has been around prior to me piping up about it. This goes back almost 2 years now. And they were acutely aware of the criticism back then. It's not like they've just discovered the Fandom Menace. They are these big corporations. There's a lot of money on the line. So they are aware of anybody with any kind of following piping up. The BBC is aware of the Tardis zone, believe it or not. It's weird to hear it, though. I mean, when I heard it for the first time from a Hollywood producer talk to me about like the effect that Midnight's Edge and Doomcock and myself and Mecca had on Star Trek. It's sobering. It's sobering because they could shut us down if they wanted to.
Right.
They could find something, and they have enough lawyers to pick out some obscure law or something that I said something, and they could shut me down and probably take my house. That's why it's very good to have an umbrella policy and business insurance. But yes, that it's sobering. It is. And I don't want to pat myself on the back. The only reason we have any, I don't want to call it power or anything, is because of you guys in the chat. That's it. Simple as that. You guys commenting, you guys in the chat. It is the fans talking, and that's where they pay attention the most, is at least what I've heard from a couple of people, is the live streams. They because that's real-time stuff, and it's unfiltered, and it does interest them. So they are aware. These changes don't happen overnight, or a lot of them still think we're a very small group of people, but we're not. The critics of Doctor Who is not a small group of people. Unfortunately, the fandom is shrinking, and that sucks. And where I have Doctor Who people is in merchandising, and the merchandising has been affected greatly. But I'm assuming Big Finish is doing well, and probably better than ever.
Yeah, Big Finish. They've even, as you actually spoke about on one of your earlier videos, when you were covering Doctor Who. Do you remember Big Finish brought out their own merch? They have their own little figurines and stuff.
It's great. I love it.
It is. But the only reason why that's actually happening is because the main sales for the the TV show. It's affecting everything you see. But Big Finish proved that if you write decent stories, now some people will say that some of their stories have gone woke. Yes, some of the adventures that they do, right?
Yep.
But the main stories are basically proper old-fashioned writing, and that's why Big Finish has been successful. But we wouldn't have got this merchandise. This was never the plan to have Big Finish merchandise. This only came around because obviously, as we said, merchandise. I was told this every time they put her on a cover of a magazine, they lose sales, right? They sold 10,000 copies of her series in the UK altogether, 10,000 units altogether. On the height of Matt Smith and David Tennant, 250,000 units were sold combined. So if you look at it that way, from 250,000 combined to 10,000 units sold in the UK.
Yeah, that's terrible. And
pretty shocking.
You know, we'll see. I imagine the ratings for the New Year's special will be good. We'll see if it's 10 million. And I don't know if to trust these ratings or not.
Someone that's very good on ratings. His name is Tom Salisbury. He was pretty good on them last year. I have to say. Now I don't kind of like him because he's a defender of this series, but his ratings have been pretty spot on. He reckons that the first episode will probably get 8.7 million viewers. He thinks it'll get around 8. So that's not even good, to be honest with you. I was actually predicting higher myself.
Yeah, because if you go back and look at the Christmas ratings in the UK, they're extremely high, and that's why giving up that day was incredible.
Yeah.
Here in the States, it might get 1 million. Probably not, because people are cutting their cable cord. So the States, we're still kind of ass backwards with how we do our ratings. So we still judge the overnight DVR ratings from like 10 years ago. So I'm guessing it'll get like 700,000 viewers, maybe. And then if you count digital, it might get 1 million, 1.2 million, which would be average at best. But Doctor Who's just not big over here anymore. It's just not, and hasn't been. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually told that by a few people that live in America. There's very little Doctor Who going on. Sure, were you not at some convention and you went? Didn't you take a few photographs or video of the Doctor, and it was empty? The stall was completely there was nobody there even.
There was nothing. I've been to two of the major conventions. Actually, the two biggest conventions in the US are New York Comic Con, and that might be equal with Chicago. I'll just say, and San Diego, which is the biggest by far. And Doctor Who was everywhere 5 years ago, like everywhere. It owned the convention, and it had really hit in America in a way it never had, and it did it right. It did something Star Trek could not do, and I would argue Star Wars could not do. It captured a generation of kids, right at the Matt Smith era. They could have done it a little better, but I think they did it compared to Star Trek. It's embarrassing what Star Trek did for their 50th anniversary, and what Doctor Who did was brilliant. And kids, I like I said, my store was packed. We did a viewing party. We had a sale. I was turning people away at the door. We had people looking through the window out in the street. We had people who just wanted to hang out in the street and be there. We had a taco truck. It was brilliant. And when Tom Baker showed up, it was like your team scored. And it went from that to not being anywhere. I saw a couple of women cosplaying as Capaldi, and they look great, by the way. That was fantastic. And I saw one guy cosplaying as Jodie, and that was it at New York Comic Con. So and that was just a couple of months ago. it's dead here. The 2 retail stores that used to carry Doctor Who stuff don't carry Doctor Who stuff anymore. And yeah, our Toys R Us's are gone. So
it's the same here. Actually, we've got a Forbidden Planet here. We've got a couple of other comic places. One I think is called Sin City, believe it or not. And we have Think Geek as well. That's part of GameStop. They used to stock some Doctor Who stuff. There's actually no merchandise whatsoever for Series 11 Doctor Who, and it's actually affected the rest of the merchandise. That I've actually asked directly. They don't sell the merchandise anymore because it's not a seller. So Doctor Who is actually dead in Ireland too. By the looks of things, nobody is watching it here either. It's actually it's actually sad. All that history, all that just gone down the drain for what? Politics and
for politics.
agenda.
And a good writing could have won anybody over on anybody. And I'll ask you this question because I've got to ask it of myself. Say for some reason a miracle happens and they just completely leave out the agenda for Jodie's Doctor in series 12. Would you consider that progress? Would that win you over a little bit?
Interesting question.
Right when I couldn't do the question.
Hold on, now I got your question. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Right, Grant. Okay, that's an interesting question. Oh, right. Okay. I will say this: if Jodie Whittaker's acting was better, they kept out the agenda, and we had better written stories, would I forgive the BBC for the past 2 years? I would have to say no. And the reason for that is because I think the BBC not only went after the fans, they also went after Peter Capaldi and our predecessors. And for me, they crossed the line there. So no.
Agreed. They did cross the line. What I would like to see from Disney, I'm not expecting this to happen, by the way, but what I would like to see is for somebody of importance to come out and acknowledge that their part in dividing our fans, playing into the divisive nature of just entertainment from both sides of the pond, and trying to do and remembering what entertainment is for. It is for people to celebrate, to escape, to heal. Art is meant to heal, and heal the artist and heal the person viewing it. It's supposed to move people emotionally, teach people lessons, but it's not supposed to pick on people. You got to have your bad guys, of course, but you can spread that out. I'm just saying anybody can be a bad guy, male, female, whatever. And they forgot that. They forgot that they're here for us. They're here to entertain us. And listen, the creatives, the true creatives out there, you have to focus on your creativity. But when you introduce agenda, creativity is gone. You can't tell me that's a creative decision. It's a political decision. So therefore you are not thinking about your audience. You are thinking about pleasing a certain sect of your audience, and you just don't give a damn about the other one because you think they're inhuman. And that is playing into the divisiveness of everything right now, when they could be the bigger people. They would make more money. They would make more money. And it's what you brought up earlier. You don't understand it. I don't understand it either. They're leaving so much money on the table right now by playing to just one part of their audience instead of just being neutral.
Exactly.
That's it.
Or a fairer balance, spread it out. Fans will never forget how the show turned against us, says Ballstreck.
Yep.
I agree. See, that's the thing. Even if Series 12 is an improvement on Series 11, where I just can't get the thought out of my head that Piers Wenger thought it was okay to go after Peter Capaldi and Jodie Whittaker's predecessors. And that's where not even Jodie attacking fans, I didn't mind that as much, but that really hurt me. I've been watching this show since I was a child, and for someone to tell me that that men that I actually looked up to, as well as my father, right, but men that I looked up to were basically insignificant, basically. No, I'm sorry, that's unforgivable. I don't care if Series 12 is an improvement. Don't get me wrong. I will review it, and if it is an improvement, I'll say it's an improvement, but I'll never be able to forgive the BBC or Piers Wenger, the head of BBC Drama, for what he said. No way.
Yep. And forgetting about the two women who are instrumental in the beginning of this show. And yeah, just pissing on the past. That's the old thing, is like you can move forward without doing that, you know.
Yeah,
it is
that's
possible.
the bird way of putting it,
to
but
not
you're
piss
right.
on the past and say, you know what, it was just of its time.
Mm.
And it's disingenuous to judge people who are, especially who are dead.
Yeah.
We had a blogger out
That
here.
tried to cancel that, cancel John Pertwee as well.
Yeah.
They tried to cancel him as well. Sorry, Gary, for cutting across.
No, that's it. That's exactly it. And I did a car video. I meant to do a proper video on that, and I probably should have, but that twit went after John Pertwee because he made a crass joke, which I quite frankly, I laughed my ass off when I heard it.
So did I. But hang on, what people have to remember as well, and I have to get that out there. This was an unaired broadcast. This was something that they didn't actually put on air. It actually says it at the start of the video. So for him to actually even comment on it, it was unaired, so nobody saw it. You know what I mean? He dug it up just to try cancel that poor man, and I tell you, my video was I was so angry.
Yes, and you should have been. I mean, messing with a dead man who was, by all accounts, a pretty good dude and a great doctor. Probably not a perfect human being, but you know what? Let's find this twit.
Who is?
Let's follow this little twit around and see if he's never said the word teat. I doubt it. I doubt he's been respectful to women his entire life, or respectful to people. Again, it was a joke at a corporate video that was never meant to be aired in the 80s. And it would have, to hear a doctor say it again, I laughed my ass off, and I'm not sorry I did.
Same here. And by the way, he went after people as well. He said, if you laugh at this, then, and I was like, are you for, it was a joke, get over yourself. But the fact that that's how low these people will go, they'll cancel anybody, even dead people. If anybody, I just, it's sickening the way this fandom, especially the Doctor Who fandom, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't know if you agree with me, Gary, but I think this Doctor Who fandom is more toxic than even the Star Wars fan. I think this is one of the most toxic fandoms out there, if not the most toxic right now. It is absolutely ridiculous, the behavior that's going on. Do you remember Anastasia, that little girl, Children in Need?
Yeah.
I mean, they even went after a little girl. I mean, come on. You know, you have to
like to say I was surprised, but they no, it's because the vocal, the true fans, I think, are just gone. They're tired of it. And what we have left are critics of Jodie and defenders. And I've seen what Bowles Trek goes through. I've seen what you go through. And yeah, the Star Wars fans, as bad as they are not as bad as Doctor Who. Doctor Who and Star Trek are pretty equal in my eyes. I'm getting it pretty. I've been recently been called pretty horrific things. I've had my face photoshopped on those bad German people.
Yeah, same Bowles Trek as well. There's actually an account up on Twitter now that actually has his face on one of those bad German flags. Absolutely disgrace.
Yes, and it's all fun and games on the internet, and I understand that. And I try not to focus on that stuff. I focus on the 95% positive stuff that I see, and I see you guys get it too. People love Bowles Trek, and people love you, man. So focus on that.
We do, but you know what the problem is? He'll even put up like a video, and you know the way he puts up the trigger train is here or whatever,
We love the
and
trigger train.
then just like straight away, these accounts will just pop out of nowhere and attack the guy. Now I've gotten to know the guy over the past year. We speak a lot. Um, I know a kind-hearted guy like yourself will do anything to help small channels like myself. I don't see, it actually baffles me the amount of hate I see that you get, that Ballstrek gets, and I'm actually kind of baffled about the amount of hate I get because I'm not really a bad person. I just, right now, like most fans in most fandoms, just want their TV shows or their movie franchises to be written the way they're supposed to be written. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing sexist about it. There's nothing racist about it. We're not misogynistic. We just want our shows and our movies to be written properly, the way they should be. And if you want to include LGBTQAII, it's loads of letters now. But if you want to add those type of characters, all well and good, we'll embrace them all. But put them in, they have to fit the narrative of the show. You can't just shoehorn them in. And that's what's happening with all this gender swapping nonsense. We've seen it now, it's happening. By the way, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, you might know this, you can confirm it for me. But I heard there's going to be Superman is going to change skin color.
I wouldn't be surprised. As soon as I heard Jar Jar Abrams was going to be part of it, I would. I've heard that too, and I think they will probably do it with both him and Batman next time around. I was kind of surprised they got Robert Pattinson. You have, I'm sure you've noticed that our three, and nothing wrong with you guys in the UK. I love the UK. Okay, Anglophile here. Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man are all Brits. Now, you guys are better actors. I'll admit that, but I've always thought that was weird.
Here's one for you. Robert Pattinson is Batman. What's your feelings on it? Now, I will say every time a Batman or a Joker gets cast, right? We seen it with Heath Ledger when he was actually announced as the Joker. But we seen how that turned out. That was an absolutely magnificent performance. But what do you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman? Is this a good choice, or do you think they should have got someone else, like the guy that was in what was that Mad Men? Wasn't he?
John Hamm.
Yeah, John Hamm. Would you have preferred him?
Absolutely would have preferred him, but considering its current year, I think I've come around on Robert Pattinson. I'm like, it's probably as good as we were going to get. I don't think. I think it's deliberate. There's a lot more masculine men out there you can get than Robert Pattinson. He's a good actor, but he doesn't scream masculinity. That's not the first thing I think. And the that's what Batman is.
Yeah.
Batman's a very masculine alpha dude.
Yeah.
Big and he's buff. And quite frankly, I know it caused a big stir, but if you want to talk about like just look, our boy Ben Affleck was Batman. Too bad you knew Ben. Unfortunately, he was just known as Ben Affleck. He's not known for his range or anything. He's just known as Ben Affleck. But if we could separate all that and just look at the pure look of him, that was Batman.
I love his Batman, actually. I'm going to put my hands up. I'll probably get criticized for it, but I'll give it
for me.
His Batman, I loved his Batman. And you know what? I know he's having his problems, and I wish him the best of luck. I don't know if he was fired or it was just a mutual decision. But if he was fired, all I will say is, if anybody is listening, he's made a big mistake. To be honest with you, you should have done everything to keep him, because I would have loved him to see the Batman, the movie that we were supposed to get with Ben Affleck. But unfortunately, we're not going to get it. We have Robert Pattinson. I will say this. I I wasn't a fan of the Twilight movies, never will be.
No.
I've had people that have defended him and saying that he has been in better stuff since. Okay, that's fair enough. I will go in with this with an open mind, but I do agree with you. This choice does seem to be deliberate because, I mean, even if you see him in the Twilight movies, he does look a bit girly. So he definitely doesn't look manly.
No, maybe this changes that. Maybe he gets yoked up and changes all our minds, and it's certainly a possibility. But
Well, hopefully he does. Hopefully he does, and hopefully he kicks it out of the park. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest, we want this to succeed. But
Yep.
Looking at the other cast, the rumored cast, I mean, they've kind of got it mixed up with the Penguin and another one. Haven't they cast Colin Farrell, or they're rumored to cast Colin Farrell as, is it a Riddler?
Is he the Penguin? I thought Colin Farrell was.
Oh, the Penguin, is
Yeah.
it? That's
And
a
I
weird
like
choice for
Colin. It
me.
is a very weird choice. Maybe he'll be a thinner penguin, or maybe Colin Farrell will go full method actor and gain a bunch of weight. We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
They're
he's
putting a
due
lot of
good
villains in.
performance. He's Irish, so we root for our own. But he is due a good performance. So hopefully he'll change it.
The Batman's going through so much turmoil in comic books right now. It's comics. We've just lost comics, unfortunately. It's really bad.
They've been deliberately cast, if you get me, for a certain agenda, and I can already see that happening with this movie. I don't know. Are we gonna actually? I think this is gonna go like the rest of the franchises. I don't know. What do you think anyway? Are you hoping it's a good movie, or do you think it's gonna crash and burn?
The Batman? Well, if this is true, hang on. This just popped up. I'm checking this. This cannot be right. The principal cast for Matt Reeves' Batman is currently set in place, and it's bringing a mix of inspired and unexpected casting choices into the world of DC films. The nature of who would play the Penguin in the film was speculated about quite a bit before Colin Farrell was ultimately announced to have the role last month. Even then, that hasn't stopped some, including beloved. This was just clickbait. I'm like, what the hell? They cast a female as Penguin, but it looks like it's Colin Farrell, right? I just thought it was. Yeah.
Look, I've watched his movies because obviously, as I said,
he's
watch a lot of Irish movie. So the thing about, I just find this, watching Colin Farrell and watching his career, this is one of these films where I don't picture him being in, but that's like when a comedian comes out of their comfort zone and does a serious movie.
Yep.
And normally they strike gold. So maybe this will be the case for Colin Farrell. I really am hoping for him because he's done too many duds, in my opinion. And he is a talented actor. He really is. He starred in an Irish program over here before he was known. And he had talent back then. So I was really hoping. I liked him in Phone Booth, actually. I think that's probably one of his best movies. And he did that one with Tom Cruise, Minority Report, but he wasn't in that much. But he was actually all right in that one. But he hasn't really done anything great. So I don't know. I think this is a weird choice for the Penguin. I'm not Robert Pattinson for Batman. Who's confirmed for Alfred, by the way? Do you know?
Alfred was. Oh, hang on. I'll get it right here. I had his name in my head and it just went out. So this thing happens when you're live streaming. Your brain parts out. Andy Serkis. So Andy Serkis.
So the guy that actually played Yogi in Lord of the Rings, fucking
Gollum, yeah. So I think he's going to be more of the spy, a former spy, Alfred Pennyworth, and
but here's the thing, right? Think about it, right? You'll probably agree with me here. but I see him more as a penguin than I would
Yep. Oh, I agree with
Colin
you.
Farrell.
I
It just
absolutely
doesn't.
agree with you.
I don't know. It just doesn't make.
They
Unless
cast
they people
they
up
cast
there.
a good Edward Nashton is a great Riddler choice. Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon. They race swapped the character, but Jeffrey Wright's a complete lunatic in real life, but he's a great actor.
Yeah,
Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
yeah. I wasn't
I
a
don't
fan of that choice.
Not a
Actually.
fan of that, just because I don't think she's that great of an actress.
No,
I don't care about the skin color, but
no, neither
I would
do I. But she's not a great actress, so I agree.
no. I think Aubrey Plaza would have been the best Catwoman. I don't know if you know who Aubrey Plaza was. She was in Safety Not Guaranteed, and she was in Legion. She was in Scott Pilgrim. She is a great actress. She would have been a perfect Catwoman.
Wow, I don't know who they are. I haven't actually seen any of them. Yeah, look, anybody but her, and she was rumored for a couple of weeks, if you remember. Someone broke it, and then she kind of came, didn't she put a picture up or so? That's what started it, and then they came out and denied that she was going to be playing Catwoman, and then she was announced then a couple of weeks later. It's like, yeah,
And correction, yeah, sorry, it was Paul Dano who played. I was reading Edward Nigma is called Edward Nashton now. I was reading the wrong name, but the kid who's playing is Paul Dano. You are correct, and he is he was in There Will Be Blood. He is a perfect Riddler, I think.
right. Well, when is that movie due for release next year? Isn't
Next
it?
year.
We'll see. Has there been any actual photographs yet? Have
Or
we
is it
seen anything?
21? No, 2021.
Oh, 2021. So
Yep.
we won't get any principal photography then till probably next year.
Yep.
Wow.
We'll start seeing probably costume photos pretty soon. I'm curious as what the costume is going to look like.
Yeah. They have to get the costume. If they get the costume right and he looks good in the costume, well, then we're halfway there.
Halfway there. You're right.
Halfway there. Then we just need the performance and the writing. And hopefully a decent bloody story this time.
They got a solid director, even though he's from Bad Reboot. I think he's one of the outliers is actually pretty good, Matt Reeves. So crossing my fingers on this one. John Turturro as Carmine Falcone is great casting. So I think this, I would say my hopes are high for this movie.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good. Do you know what we need? So we need a good Batman movie, though.
We do. Yes, we do.
It's been a while. I mean, Batman versus Superman. I didn't like that for the simple reason is that Superman, in my opinion, now was a subplot in his own bloody movie.
Cut out again.
Oh,
now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay. What I was saying was the reason why I hate Batman versus Superman is because Superman was basically a subplot in his own movie, and the Justice League.
And I don't like Batman getting top billing. I never liked that. It should be Superman versus Batman, in my opinion. It's his movie, and Superman. The Warner Brothers just doesn't know what to do with that character, and they got the perfect guy to play him. They just need to get a good story around him.
Yeah, and then we got the Justice League.
Ugh. Release the Snyder Cut.
Yes, please do. And a lot of actors have actually got behind it, and actresses have got behind it about bloody time, if you ask me. I think, and I know you have your, is it you or Doomcock have your problems with Zack? No, it's Doomcock that has his problems with Zack Snyder, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He actually goes crazy about the ending of Watchmen, the movie.
Yeah, he really hates the ending. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm a little more flexible in that.
Yeah, but as he said, he wouldn't mind. He said creative, like because of creative, he created something people would like to see it, and I think it does have a right to be saying the Snyder Cut. Is it complete though? That's the thing that everybody is speculating. Has Zack Schneider himself come out and say there's a complete cut?
I don't think there could be unless Warner Brothers allowed him to come back and work on it, which I don't think they did. So I think it'll be whatever Snyder cut you get, it'll be damn near complete. It'll probably be a lot like the Donner cut of Superman 2. You'll have to put in some Joss Whedon stuff just because it didn't get shot. But it depends on how much they had done. Apparently, they had a ton of it done, and they reshot most of the film. So it would be a different looking film. If you're a Zack Snyder fan, I bet you'll still like it though. And I just want to see it because it exists. Why not? You know.
But here was my thinking, right? All these people asking for this for it to be released, right? And fair enough. At first, I was kind of like, but why would you? Because then you've got the other movie, so are you basically not sticking two fingers up to Joss Whedon, who actually basically took over after Zack Schneider either stepped down or was fired? Again, I'm only like speculating there. I don't know, but like, would it not be disrespectful to him? No, or do fans not give a crap about that type of thing and they just want to see this movie because it looks better? And I have to say, I've seen some stills like we all have. It does actually look better, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, I guarantee you it'll be better than what we got. And as far as Joss Whedon coming back, I would normally say yes, that would have been disrespectful, except Joss Whedon coming on, I think he was, I don't know, I've been told he was trying to help out Zack Snyder in a bad situation, but then after I heard that he got fired, and they just used the daughter thing as an excuse to save face. And Zack Snyder's always been a team player with Warner Brothers. And you have to be there. You can't mess with these companies or you'll never work again. And there's so few of them now that if you piss one off and you get a bad reputation, you're not going to get work anywhere. So, and I know what they made him do for Man of Steel. They made him fire his entire Chris Nolan made him get rid of his entire crew that he was comfortable with and work with Chris Nolan people on Man of Steel. Not everybody, but most of them, because one of them was is my wife's friend. Yeah, I saw the crap that guy went through, and then his daughter committing suicide, and then people giving him shit for the movie while he's grieving his daughter. That stuff I didn't like at all. So I have great sympathy for Zack Snyder, and I think he's for the right thing. And listen, he didn't do a good job on these movies. Let's be real. But still, he's a good filmmaker. I think I love Watchmen. I think Watchmen, the 4-hour cut, is genius. Absolute genius. And you got to consider the time it came out to. There's no way in hell they could have sold. And I don't like it. I'm not a fan of this, but I think that the squid not being in Watchmen was an executive decision. I think that was like, what, a squid? No way, but now it's no problem because superhero films are the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
back then they were kind of a niche little thing, weren't they? You had the odd one, but you weren't flooded with them like you are today.
Yep. But I do believe Zack Snyder had a plan for the DC universe, and Warner Brothers kept deviating from that plan. So it was very hard to stick with it. And it was all because of, because of the performance of Batman versus Superman. And maybe if they would have stuck the course, maybe it would have been better, because I know they reshot a bunch of Aquaman, but Aquaman turned out okay. Wonder Woman turned out okay. Shazam turned out okay. That's all Snyderverse. They made some tone changes, but that was it.
Someone said Crispin Glover would have made a great Riddler.
Ooh, he would make a great Joker or Riddler. Yeah. Even at for one, the guy doesn't age. He looks great. He was in American God as well.
Yeah. They sacked him Back to the Future. He was in the first one, but he wasn't actually in the second one.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
A makeup and a look-alike.
Which
was
I
weird.
never knew. Yeah,
At the
I never
time, I
knew
didn't know
that.
either.
Yeah. Actually weird, isn't it? Because he doesn't really talk. Well, he used to talk about Back to the Future, but he doesn't really talk about it that much anymore. But also, the first guy that was cast, he refuses to talk about Back to the Future. The guy that was cast before Michael J. Fox, he was in the Fly remake. What's his name?
Jeff Goldblum?
No, the second one.
I'm
There's a
sorry.
kid in the second one.
Oh my
Eric
God.
Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Yes.
Yeah.
Who I always cast to play Daredevil back in the day because he's a real ginger.
He's a great. He's
yeah.
a great
It's too
actor,
bad. Well, it wouldn't have
underrated.
been the same. Michael J. Fox just has.
I did. Michael J. Fox
Pure charm.
it.
Yeah.
But does it not make you wonder? We've seen some of the clips. Does it not make you wonder what a kind of a? Because I reckon it would have been a darker movie.
Oh God, yeah.
I wonder what a darker Back to the Future would have looked like.
I don't know if it'll work. Well, that movie was an anomaly. It was a bigger hit than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It just looked like when it came out. I mean, I was 15 at the time, but when it came out, it just looked like a normal summer 80s comedy. It just looked like your run of the mill 80s comedy. But then that produced by Steven Spielberg, that used to mean something. You saw Spielberg's name on a movie and you're just like, oh, it's going to be good. This guy got to go. I don't care if he was just there in the set handing out, donuts. It's going to be good. But it was, it's one of those films that was like lightning in a bottle. That and Ghostbusters were two movies that did way better. I mean, I knew I'd enjoy them, but I didn't think they would become monster hit classic all-time movies.
Yeah, I like the Ghostbusters. I like Ghostbusters 1. Part 2 kind of lost me with the Statue of Liberty scene, but it's still not a bad movie. But compared to 2016, it's a bleeding Oscar-worthy movie. Jesus Christ. That 2016 movie, right? I've actually sat down and watched that movie 3 times now. You'll probably ask yourself, why would I put myself through that?
Why would you put yourself through that? I couldn't make it through the first 15 minutes. I have never seen it all the way through.
Well, have you not? Well, all I can tell you is, right, the first time I watched it, obviously I was stunned. I watched it second time. I was just like, right, here's the problem I have with that whole entire movie. Okay. It wasn't just the politics, it was also the cast, right? The cast was all wrong. Now, if you wanted to bring female Ghostbusters into the fore, fine, right? No problem with that. But split the team.
Yeah.
Right? Or even have it as the original Ghostbusters grandkids or something, right? Have a couple of lads and a couple of girls and have them as the new Ghostbusters. Basically, this is what I would have done. I would have basically done this, right? If I was bringing Ghostbusters back in 2016, what I would have done was I would have had the original Ghostbusters in it, training their grandkids to be the next Ghostbusters. That's what I would have done. I know it sounds simple. Obviously, there'd be a bit more substance to it, but that's where I would start with the story. And then you could make a trilogy then of those movies because you could see them grow in each movie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They just decided to gender swap. And to even get, what's his name in the movie? Thor, and turn him into a weak man.
Bill Murray?
No,
Thor, Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. Yeah. I keep getting mixed up with the two brothers.
That tells you that right there tells you the agenda came first, and same with Star Wars. The two biggest missed opportunities in cinematic history was not getting Luke, Han, and Leia together and doing it just a regular Ghostbusters movie, like you said. Just get two men, 2 women, or 2 boys and 2 girls. Get the original cast together. And you could have made a series of films like freaking Harry Potter, where a whole generation grows up with these kids. No, exactly. they wanted to use all their capital to make an all-girl movie to make a point, and they lost forget the movie, the money they lost on the movie. They lost $1 billion. They left $1 billion out there. That they had $1 billion film made for them, and all they had to do was do a paint by numbers plot with the original old cast and some semi decent, charming new characters, and you would have made $1 billion. Easy.
I agree, because when I heard the rumors of even a Ghostbusters movie coming around before we knew who was going to be cast, I was actually very excited because, again, Ghostbusters is part of my childhood, and I grew up with those movies. So yeah, I was actually very excited about a Ghostbusters movie until then we actually start hearing what was going to happen. What threw me off was, right, first I seen who was cast, and I was like, okay.
Oh, cut out again.
Do you know what happened? It was the costumes that did it for me.
You're back?
I'm back, am I?
Now you're back. Okay, sorry.
I don't know what's going on. I'm cutting it. You're cutting out sometimes as well.
Yeah.
I think StreamYard is they haven't fixed the
issues. Haven't fixed the issues. It's been happening to me on other streams too.
So we'll just continue. Right? Ghostbusters doesn't need a sequel. Even the second one was ropey, says Matthew. I do kind of agree, but I am looking forward to this new one. If so far, I know we've only gotten one little teaser. And we've heard of some of the people that are casting it, and they've gotten the original cast back in some of the others. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the new Ghostbusters movie. How about you, Gary?
I am too. Paul Rudd. Who doesn't like Paul Rudd?
I know.
But what they could have done, and what I hope they do, is lean more into being a little more scary. Instead of being just goofy slapstick comedy, because you're never going to equal Bill Murray and freaking Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis together. Never. So you know what? Make up for it in making it a little more scary. That would be more interesting.
Exactly. Make it even a slight, not full blown horror, but have horror elements in it. Make it really, they could really have a hit on their hands with this movie if they play their cards right. And I hope they have listened to the fans, these people that have taken over, and they take it on board, because we still have the people behind the Ghostbusters 2016, The Abomination, still coming out today.
There it goes again. God dang it.
Am I back?
You're back. No, that was me. I just popped open a window real quick and it just boop.
Oh,
come on, StreamYard.
I am looking forward to that movie anyway.
Yes, I am.
Hopefully, it is good. Is there any actually other movies that you're looking forward to seeing that you've heard that are coming out? Any of the movies in the MCU actually that you're looking forward to?
Doctor Strange sounds very interesting. Blade, if it's not super woke, I'd be into. I'm looking forward to seeing Moon Knight. Of course, this is all with the caveat of I'm not as long as it's not woke.
Cautiously optimistic.
TV show that's coming up in 3 weeks, The Witcher. Interested in that. I just started reading the book and it's pretty good. And
there's a game as well, by the way. There's a Witcher game, series. So I haven't read the book, but I know my brother has played the games, and I sat there for hours watching him play. So kind of know what the character is about. But I've heard bad things about that. I've heard it's gone a bit woke.
I heard it did too.
Isn't it the same with this Lord of the Rings prequel as well? Apparently, I thought there was a thing in place, though. I thought there was some agreement from his estate that they couldn't do that to the characters. They had to stay true to the characters.
It'll be very hard for them to be woke in the sense that Star Wars and Star Trek have, because there's a very specific clause in the contract that they cannot change a single thing about any of the original Tolkien characters from the books, which covers the movies too. So they cannot touch any of it unless they present them exactly as they were in either the books or the film. So they can't go back and have Aragon have a boyfriend in the in the West prior to the Lord of the Rings. So prior to Arwen, they can't make as much as some people want. They can't make Gandalf a female. They can't do stuff like that, which is good. And they have a guy there named Tom Shippey, who's kind of like the Tolkienologist. But I will say he was there for The Hobbit, and they kind of I don't want to use the word, it rhymes with the word puck out of Legolas in The Hobbit. They had his girlfriend leave him for a dwarf, and it was a bit much, and of course they made Thranduil a bad father, but that was kind of okay. I was okay with that, but that was the only thing. I actually like the Hobbit movies. I know they're terrible, but I like them. But I didn't like that part. I didn't.
Yeah, I like the first Hobbit movie. I thought it went downhill after the first one, to be quite honest with you.
It did. The first one is the best by far.
Yeah. Second one wasn't too bad, but the third one is atrocious, actually.
Oh my God, it's barely a movie. They should have just made it part of the second movie. It was just a third act. That's all it was.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. A drop of truth is said, Doctor Who related here. I've watched Doctor Who since 1966. I have every episode up and including Series 11. I won't watch Series 11 again. My favourite Doctor Who's are John Pertwee, Tom Baker, with a dash of pre-SJW Peter Capaldi.
Pre-SJW Peter Capaldi, with a dash of pre-SJW Peter Capaldi. He's watched Doctor Who since 1966. Drop of truth. A couple years older than I am. I won't watch season 11 again. And you guys, you spell favorite wrong. Has anybody ever told you that? You don't put a U in. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You guys had the words first. Doctor Who is an abomination, to use the words of Boltrek right now. It's an absolute abomination. And I started predicting. I'm sure you were doing the same things. I don't think I'm some genius or anything, but as I was doing a lot of live reviews, I started predicting some of the wokeness and SJW-ness that was going to happen. And I was joking all year. I'm all, if they bring back a Dalek, they're going to make the Dalek female. And I know that Daleks don't have sex, and they practically did.
Yeah.
I mean, they did all but in name. And I was joking, by the way. And they even made it look like when somebody showed me that picture of the woman in the Victorian dress right next to the Dalek that they made, and it looked exact. I don't know if you've seen that or not. I'm sure you did.
I have,
oh my God, I could not believe it. I was like, dude, come on. They laid it on a bit thick, and I think they're going to lay it on a lot thicker this season. Everything looks that way. And I think they're just going to extend that middle finger the way we do it over here, a little higher towards some of the fans.
Nerdrotic says Corset Dalek. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Actually, the lowest rated Christmas special too. Actually, so that just goes to show you that the fans have well and truly walked away from this era. I mean, going back to Series 12, do you know what? A few months back, I was optimistic. Now, I'm dreading this upcoming series. I mean, New Year's Day, I'm obviously going to be watching it a few hours after it broadcasts. So I'll find a way of watching it anyway. Then I'll obviously do the panel. I mean, I'm dreading it. I don't know about you, but I've never dreaded a Doctor Who series as much as I dread this one. And even Jodie Whittaker's first series, I did dread it, but I didn't dread it as much as I dread this one. Because I know, like you have said and others have said, and I've been slow to admit this, but they are gonna double down. I mean, they're gonna go all out. The problem I have is they've roped in the Daleks again, but this time they've brought back the Cybermen. I don't give a shit about the Jadoon, to be
No.
quite honest with you, because they're insignificant to me. But if the Sea Devils are back, right, again, that's a classic Who villain. I will not. I'm just dreading what he's going to do to these great villains, because let's be honest, we've had great doctors, but we've also had great villains and great monsters, and they're going to be tainted with this era. I just dread to think what he's going to do with the Cybermen. We've seen what he's done with the Dalek. So what's he going to do with the Cybermen?
No.
Seriously, that's the Cybermen. Even the Sea Devils are coming back. Even the Sea Devil. This is what I dread. What is he going to do? Like what?
It's going to be the Cyber Women. That's what I was. What better allegory do you have for toxic masculinity and the patriarchy than the Cyber Men? Those Cyber Men are going to come out and they're going to like force women back into the kitchen, and yeah, that's it. They're going to come down and enforce the patriarchy of the Cybermen. I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing will surprise. I'm dreading it too. I'm not looking forward to arguing with trolls on New Year's Day, starting out 2020 with arguing with the J bots, as you call them, and that's appropriate as hell. But that's going to happen.
But you know what? There's one thing I'm going to say, and you'll agree with me. Ballstreck will agree with me, right? No matter what happens, this is going to be an interesting time for us YouTubers, because we are going to have tons of stuff to put out there, tons of content to make, reviews and all that other stuff. It's going to be interesting. This era, I will say, even though I'm dreading it and it terrifies me, it's going to be interesting to review and break down. And it's also going to be interesting to see what the fan reaction is going to be for this era. As I said, even if this is an improvement, I still can't forgive the BBC. So for me, it doesn't matter what they do. Chris Chibnall needs to go. It's not going to happen, but we need a new regime at the BBC, and we basically need to get rid of the regime that's running Doctor Who as well.
Yep.
For me to even consider going back watching.
Yes, agreed. I think what's going to pop out are some of the blue check marks on Twitter who haven't tweeted about Doctor Who since it last aired, or actually since the first episode, and they'll watch 5 minutes of it on their cell phone, tweet about it, and that's the kind of fan they want now. They just don't want a fan who's going to actually watch the entire episode and break it down. And listen, that's why they have 2 episodes coming out within a few days of each other. That'll be, and Jodie only got 10 episodes this year.
It's actually going to be very interesting how that works out for them, though, isn't it? Because you know what, I will say this, right? For the position that we were in a couple of months ago, well, actually for the last year and a bit, we've been waiting for something. Then all of a sudden, right, these past couple of weeks, we've gotten a couple of teasers, 2 trailers, and now all of a sudden they're dropping the series New Year's Day. It's like as if, and tell me if you agree, it's like as if they just want to get this out as quick as possible and just get it done and over with. That's how it feels to me. I was expecting this to drop like a lot of YouTubers, where March or April, that would have been the ideal time to actually drop Doctor Who. The fact that it's dropping New Year's Day, weird.
Remember when Capaldi did the world tour prior to the season? Went down to Korea, and they're not doing anything like that. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And they're dropping it early in the year, and then we won't get another season until fall of the next year. So it'll be 18 months, but they'll go, hey, we got another season out in another year, when it's actually damn near 2. And it'll be interesting what kind of audience retention they have. I am curious to see those ratings in mid-January.
Yeah.
That's where
That's where you make the.
That's where you
That's where
find
you
out.
can. Yeah, that's where you actually find out, because the first couple of episodes, I do agree. I think they will do well. It's always the third, fourth, and fifth episode is where you can kind of make a judgment on where the rest of this series is going to go. Um, but I don't know. Again, there seems to be a lot, as I said, with the Dalek Cybermen. Like there's a lot of villains, right? So they're going to be these are going to be spread out over 10 episodes. So there's basically going to be a major villain, you might as well say, in every second episode, maybe nearly every episode. And
He dropped out.
also,
There he is.
and, and then also on top of that, the Master is rumored to be
Yeah.
dropping by as
Yeah.
well. So I mean, what the hell? There's like 10 episodes. He's squeezing all these in.
If they bring back the Volleyard now, I'll be so pissed.
Yeah, come
I'll
here.
be so
Isn't
mad.
it? It's desperation. This is what this series reeks of: desperation. If you're bringing back the Daleks, Cybermen, the Master, rumored Sea Devils, it might be the Arachnos. We don't know, but it looks like it might be.
Certainly looks like it.
It certainly looks like it, right? You've got the Jadoon as well. Okay, I don't really care about them, but still, you've got them in it. You're really going all out. So he has. He said he what's funny is that you can actually see that they've backtracked, right? It's so public now, but he would probably maintain that this was always the plan, and this is what annoys me about these people. He'll come out and say, well, this was the plan. Everything that I said before in the interviews where I said I hate old monsters, I was only kidding. I was lying to you.
Yep. It sounds like he's been dictated. They always say that, though. Even when a show gets canceled on season like 2, oh, we only planned for 2 seasons. That's it. That's all we have. We didn't want to go for 10 seasons. Nah, we didn't want to do that.
We have the 2-part stories back as well. Are we getting cliffhangers? Are we getting cliffhangers back? Yeah. Well, the first 2 episodes are 2-part. Are we getting cliffhangers, Matthew? And that'll be interesting. So he said there would be no cliffhangers, and we got a cliffhanger in series.
Double the tedium. 2-part episodes, double the tedium, says Matthew.
Yeah, he's not a fan. He's not a fan.
No, neither am I, sir.
He's not a fan. He's actually an admin on one of my groups on Facebook. Matthew,
brilliant.
Yeah, me and Matthew have been around on Facebook for nearly 3-4 years now, and then obviously the Jodie Whittaker stuff broke, and yeah, we were fighting air battles on Facebook originally, and then obviously I came onto YouTube then, and then I started to speak up, because if you're to listen to the media and listen to these fans, you think the series was perfect, but it's far from perfect.
Yeah, it's it's a long way from it. And listen, YouTube, I have a lot of criticisms of YouTube, but I am grateful for the platform, and they haven't censored me very much. I got hit with a pretty serious copyright claim over the summer, or as summer was starting. That was from CBS. But that's the only thing. And that was kind of dirty pool on their part. But cross my fingers, I have not been plucked since. Sorry, I'm checking my phone here.
No, you're okay. The new Master is a good actor. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, he is a good actor. No doubt. But I've been saying for months that the Master was returning, and everybody called me a liar. Do you know what's actually funny, Gary? Right? You obviously speak about you have sources and you get information. Doomcock obviously gets information. Well, I've been receiving information as well. Now, obviously, you're not going to get everything, but you're given information, and it's not all going to be true. But I've been very lucky, obviously, with my source. They've gotten almost everything that they've told me spot on. And the thing about it is, even though I have proved these things, and they've been proven then because they've been written about and we've actually seen proof, they still turn around and say I'm making up stuff. I don't make this stuff up. At the end of the day, why would I? Here's the thing, right? Gary's the same, Doomcock is the same. They get accused of the same thing. They get hit pieces done on them in the media. We've seen it, right? I've seen the hit pieces done. right? The end of the day, right? Why would people like us go around line saying we have sources, right? We're fans of these shows. They try anything to discredit us, right? The end of the day, I'm a fan of Doctor Who. I've been watching Doctor Who since I was a kid. As I said, the Doctor was a role model for me, right? I care very deeply about this show. Gary cares very deeply about this show. Bolstrek cares very deeply about this show, and anybody else that covers that they cover care very deeply about what they cover. Okay, I am sick and tired of people saying that we lie when we clearly aren't lying. For given information, there's obviously a reason why people want that information out there. There's some people within the industries that actually care about fans, and Gary would actually agree with me on that one. They obviously
Absolutely.
do care, because we wouldn't be getting this information if they didn't. They want to get it out there, so they want the fans to react to this sort of thing. What's annoyed me about the Doctor Who fandom, though, is they've waited too long to react, Gary.
Yep, indeed. Absolutely. And to what you said about insider stuff, I get it daily, like literally daily.
Wow.
And I don't run with a vast majority of, while I greatly appreciate it and keep it coming,
Mm.
I can't. The reason, here's why a YouTuber, and I'm going to speak for Doomcock on this, because I know Doomcock's a stand-up nice guy,
Yeah.
and when we run rumors, we specifically say it's rumors, and this is just because we're fans. We're just fans talking to each other. So I'm
Exactly.
not limited, but I'm not a news source. Neither is Doomcock. Neither are you. So we're not limited by some guideline. I can talk about whatever the hell I want to. So it's a rumor. I just did a video reading Reddit leaks that got updated, but I made sure to tell everybody 3 or 4 times in the video, this could be total BS, but let's talk about it anyway. What the hell? And that's what Doomcock does as well. The last thing I would want is to make something up to get subs. That's building my channel on lies. I wouldn't, that's the last thing I would want. I don't need that. I can never talk about a rumor again and I'll be fine because I'm a reactionary channel. I review most of my subs have come from reviews and talking and reacting to stories. That's it. I do, with like the leak video, it does average for me. Where I got the biggest subscriber boost was Doctor Who, Game of Thrones, and Terminator. Believe it or not, Terminator was unbelievable. But that's people just wanting to hear an opinion and talk and vent, and and also I got a bunch of subs from The Expanse and the Orville, which were just stuff I loved. Just things I loved. So I get the accusations. There have been YouTubers who make crap up. I understand that, but try to look at this from a point of view like I care deeply about my channel. Doomcock does, Noel, you do, Bowles Trek does. Why would I risk effing it up for one stupid video? Making shit up? People email us all the time, and more than that, I have been to conventions and I've talked to producers. I have now this idiot who is talking right now, me sitting in my room surrounded by action figures, has been invited onto the set of a major TV show, and I've never kissed their ass once. They liked me and they invited me on the set, and I was grateful to do it. And they know damn well that if the show went woke, I would say it went woke, or if it went bad, I would say it went bad. That doesn't change my point of view at all. And I didn't have to compromise shit, to get on that set. And I'm grateful for it. And Tom Constantino, the producer of the Orville, is an awesome dude. And it was fun hanging out with them. And it was brilliant. I never thought that would happen, but I would never, ever risk my channel bullshitting you people. That would kill my channel overnight.
Of course it would. That's what I mean. These people need to realize, like as you said, you're receiving daily information. I receive information. I'm not going to say I receive it daily because obviously I don't. But
I get it on a lot of stuff. It's not just one thing. It is.
Yeah,
over the last month, it's been every day updates, leaks on Star Trek, Doctor Who, stuff that I don't even cover. I could be ambiguous about this. There is a show that's going to be on Apple TV that a guy is claiming was completely ripped off from his story, and he sent me the script and everything. And he wanted me to run with it, and I couldn't verify it. I mean, he was a nice enough guy, and that was because of the Anas Abdeen stuff. I mean, I get stuff all the time, and I can't keep up. I've missed stuff. I've gotten so many emails, I've missed scoops, and I'm like, God damn it, you know. But yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, these people, like, they'll do anything to try to discredit us. But let's make one thing clear: not one day in my life, and Gary can say the same thing, Ballstreck and Doomcock, anybody that deals with stuff like this. Not one day have we ever lied to anybody. We get the information as we get it. We're told, right, run with that if you want to run with that. I put it out, as Gary says on his channel, Doomcock says it, it's rumor, take it with a pinch of salt.
Yep.
Some people out there like say, oh, but you're spreading lies, you're telling people, you're telling your subscribers that Jodie Whittaker is going and Chris Chibnall's going, you're lying to them all and all this. I'm not lying, I'm just giving the information that I've received and I'm putting it out there. People can believe me if they want to. People can take it with a pinch of salt. It doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, I do this because I love the show, and you know what? I'm actually honored that someone would actually come to me with information. So, you know, at the end of the day, as I said, I just do what I do because I love Doctor Who, and I'm not going to stop it. I won't be bullied offline. Neither will Gary or anybody else be bullied offline with dirty tactics. Again, tonight, Ballstreck is there's a bit of a troll campaign going on Twitter, attacking him because of his latest videos. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on. And you know what? I've said this. I'm going to do a stream one night, maybe in a couple of months' time, because I know everybody is busy. But I'd like to get not just big YouTube channels on, but small YouTube channels on. And I think this whole fandom situation needs to be addressed properly. And I think we need to make positions clear that this type of behavior that goes on in fandoms is not going to be tolerated no more, because personal attacks on people, their families, is not on. And you've been subject to a few personal attacks as well, Gary, haven't you?
Yeah. Somebody, I mean, it wasn't as bad as, quite frankly, the women in the Fandom Menace get it much worse than the men. But they've gone after my wife. They've given her bad Yelp. They've found out where her business was because I gave Captain Marvel a bad review. Somebody decided to go after my wife's business.
Wow.
I have been threatened via email, via DM on Twitter, via personal messenger on Facebook. And I mean, I don't talk about it. I know
you don't.
I don't give this
really
stuff
likes
the time of
talking
day.
about it. Yeah, I know. Nobody really likes talking about it, but it's kind of ramped up in the last couple of months. I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed that, and it's in all fandoms. It seems to have gotten very militant lately.
It has. I don't and listen, this is just me. If somebody is out there and these threats come from like anonymous Twitter accounts. So I do not take them seriously in any way, shape, or form. I don't feel like my life is in danger. But if somebody gets that threat and they feel like that, they are absolutely right to do so, because who knows? You don't know. But I don't personally show it because I think it would just bring more threats, honestly. So if I just ghost them, they 100% of the time they go away if you ghost them. So
well, yeah, maybe, yeah, those people are depraved keyboard warriors. They are.
They are.
But we'll just we'll forget about that now. A Drop of Truth says Andy Circus, let me see, it's at the flying boy. Hold on, see if we can get it back. Andy Circus from the Gollum Lord of the Rings trilogy, a play on the Hebrew myth of the Gollum.
Is the Gollum a play on the Hebrew myth of the Gollum? I don't know. I'm not super familiar. I don't think so. I think Gollum represents the human condition of being susceptible to power. Personally, for me, I think Gollum, the character of Gollum, presents a theme that might have been beyond what Tolkien originally intended. Because I think Gollum, to me, perfectly represents addiction. Perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he looks. I mean, if you wanted like the god, if you thought of like the god of addiction, it would be Gollum. I mean, Gollum is addiction personified in art. So I don't think that's what. I'm not sure. I'm not in his head. I don't think that's what he intended. It was supposed to be, humans. It's a very sad story. It really is. It's a tragic story, and I know it's bad, but I love it. I love Gollum. I love how he's presented in the film. I love how it is in the book, and how he's two personalities, and it really does represent addiction perfectly. I doubt that's what Tolkien intended, though.
Yeah. Yvette has joined us. She says, how are you, Gary? Hey and all.
Hi. Hey.
Hi, Yvette. No, you're up. You're up very late.
Yes, I actually got to run pretty soon.
She's a quantum physicist, Yvette. She does be part of me live streams all the time.
Wow.
So we get her on for a bit of science as well sometimes.
The brains of the operation. That's good.
That's it. We also do have some very funny animal stories as well.
Brilliant.
We do a little bit of everything on the Tardis zone now. So how long have you got, Gary, left? So
I got like 5 minutes. I gotta
all right,
real soon.
Okay. Well, listen, if you want to just give your channel a shout out and stuff, and let people know what's up and coming on your channel, and then I'll let you go, because I know you're a busy man anyway, and I know you've got stuff to sort out. So
yeah,
go ahead, mate. It's a pleasure having you on anyway.
Well, for one, thank you so much for having me on the channel, and I look forward to having you on my channel soon. My name is Gary from Nerdrotic. I cover television mainly, but it's kind of focused on Star Wars right now, but the focus will return to Doctor Who and Star Trek, which is my primary focus come January, because we have Doctor Who and Star Trek Picard premiering in the same month. I don't know how I'm going to handle it, but my next video, which will be released tomorrow morning, I've been working on it for 4 days, is clapping back at the Access media, because Jar Jar Abrams recently acknowledged the fandom menace, and the Access media came out and just kept on spreading year-old lies instead of actually, I don't know, trying to figure out what the fandom menace is about. And they were presented with a great opportunity to maybe mend things, to make things less divisive, but instead they were extremely lazy and extremely Access media. So I decided to slap them around for about 15 or 16 minutes.
Well, I can't wait for that video, actually. Doomcock's one was actually very good when he did that response to that hit piece that was done on him.
That was epic. That
was brilliant. And Ballstreck then followed it up then with his own video, which was brilliant as well. So I'm looking forward to your video. Listen, Gary, it's been a pleasure having you on, and really, I thank you for coming on, because I know you are very, very busy. So it's been a pleasure having you on, and thanks very much.
You're quite welcome. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bowles Trek, if you're still out there, I can't wait to all three of us to get together with starry-eyed. Oh, there he is. Thanks, buddy. And thank you again, my friend. This will be the first of many. And do not hesitate to reach out. And everybody, please subscribe to Noel. He's good dude, good man. So and a real Doctor Who fan. One of the few left.
Yeah, there's only a few of us left now, sadly. But that was our plan all along, though, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, with that, my friends, I will say good night. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you very soon. Ballstreck, good night, and everybody else in the chat, good night, and Gary, also good night. Nice to have you all along. Goodbye.